Tell everybody about it.
Oh, I have. I've, in fact, passed it on to a couple of my good friends, and they're taking the challenge as well. So it's been great.
Robert did it. My family did it. Now you got to do it, and it's totally free. Go take the First Mark Challenge today. See how much they can save you and how much better your coverage will get. Maybe you could be our next First Mark Challenge victory. Just go to firstmarkinsurance.com. Firstmarkinsurance.com.
At Buc-ee's, we'll keep you ready for summertime. From factory maintenance, AC, brakes, tune-ups, to oil changes, wiper blades, and tire rotation. It's Buc-ee's Complete Auto Repair. Carefree summer driving. No appointment needed and financing's available. Check Buc-ee's.com for the Buc-ee's near you.
This is it. Shop the Lowe's Closeout event to get up to 70% off select major appliances for your home. Plus, get up to 60% off select patio furniture and accessories for your outdoor spaces. So hurry into your local store today because these deals are too good to last. Shop them now before they're gone because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 8/7 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
As a roofer, I'm always on the go. So I need to be able to get things done from anywhere. That's why I partnered with Beacon. With their unique Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the brands I depend on, like GAF, right at my fingertips 24/7. I rely on Beacon because I never stop building, and neither do they. Now through September 15th, purchase GAF through Beacon Pro Plus and earn up to $1,500. Go to BECN.com or download the Beacon Pro Plus app today. Beacon, always building.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The NFL is seriously considering adding an 18th regular season game. What a surprise. The league and the NFL Players Association are reportedly deep into schedule discussions, though negotiations haven't happened yet. A game still isn't imminent when it comes to adding that to the schedule. The Seahawks kick off training camp tomorrow. Players are reporting today. Bump and I will be live from Virginia Mason Athletic Center tomorrow afternoon.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. You know what? I'm going to start this show with a question. Is this Scott Service's fault? Bump, I have been kind of stumped and baffled when it comes to this one because I am, the queen of pointing the finger and blaming and then needing to do some self-reflection. So I understand that I'm wrong about things sometimes. Rarely, but sometimes. Sometimes. However, I've been really trying to absorb a lot of the tweets that I've had as responses. I sent out a question saying, hey, if you think that Scott Service is the problem with this Mariners team, what an ugly loss yesterday to the Angels. Tell me why. Tell me what you think. And there is one answer where I thought, fair. And everything else I didn't. I'll get to that in a minute. But, Bump, when you look at that game yesterday, very difficult to watch. When you hear how frustrated Scott Service is after the game, talking about this is just like ugly baseball, really lost his patience.
You've shown a lot of patience with what you've seen. Why tonight?
Because I'm tired of watching it. Stand up for our guys, believe in them. Some nights, That's not Major League Baseball. We handed them a game.
I felt the discomfort in that silence.
Yeah. It's like when my dad used to get mad at me and talk really slowly and sternly. Is it his fault? We have to break down what he's responsible for. You got to set the lineup and managing the bullpen, rallying the troops, and making sure that they're in the right mind state. All right, he didn't pick the team. The rotation is pretty much set, right? You do mix some things up, right? We saw that at the All-Star break, switching up Logan a little bit and going with Wu for that third game. The things that he can't control, if there's one criticism I think that most people are going to have, is the way he manages the bullpen, I think. And I think an example of last night, people wanted to see Santos. You can't see Santos every single day. It's just that's not the way it happens. His arm needs to rest. Is it his fault? It's partly his fault. He's part of this team. Sure. He's in the dugout. He's talking to the guys. He's helping to make decisions. He is like the motivational leader, I guess, so to speak. He's the face of the program when you have to go to the press conferences after the game. Of course, it's partly his fault, too. It's partly Julio's fault. It's partly Cal's fault. It's Clase when he's in there. It's a collective effort, and I've said this 1,000 times, but when things are going bad like we've seen the past, 7-8 games or so, you naturally look at the skip and say, what are you going to do to try to fix this? What are you going to do? And then I look at who he has available. JP's out now. Julio's out now. When you look at this lineup, Stacey, it doesn't feel like a major league lineup.
It doesn't.
It don't feel that way. I saw an at-bat by Clase. He's taking a knee, doing a Tim Tebow, swinging out a pitch. He's just not ready for that role yet. So, yeah, it's partly his fault. I think he's done a decent job at managing this ball club, but he's in the mix. But I don't put the bulk of the responsibility on Service. There's some other people I look at in this deal.
253, 10 years, 500 record, 1 playoff. He's got to go. I'm sorry. Is Scott the only person in this organization? And not only that, it depends what you think the problem is, okay? If you think the problem is a culture problem, that's what a manager is responsible. If you think the problem is a culture problem or that they are losing significantly more games than they should. For instance, it's the reason that Aaron Boone was on the hot seat with the Yankees. People felt like they had way too much talent to have that record. These teams with big payrolls that have superstars and they're not winning, people are like, what are you doing? That kind of thing. That's where winning and losing completely plays into a manager conversation. Or if you think the culture's a problem, that's a Scott problem. Scott's in charge of maintaining a healthy clubhouse, of getting buy-in, of keeping things even-keeled, of keeping people invested. Culture. That's what you're in charge of. I don't know that I think this is a culture problem. Now, I think the culture is being affected by losing and being affected by feelings of frustration. I don't think that starts from a toxicity that is levied by Scott Service. What I think is the issue is player execution and player acquisition. Jerry Dipoto, for instance, in the front office, acquired 4 players this offseason as part of their plan to improve the team and cut down on strikeouts. Jorge Polanco, Mitch Haniger, Mitch Garver, Luis Urias. All 4 of those have negative Fangraphs WAR. Is that a Scott Service problem? Or is that a talent acquisition problem?
That's a talent problem. No players in the top 10 when it comes to doubles. Guess who does? The White Sox and the A's do. 6 players in the top 10 when it comes to strikeouts. 1 player in the top 10 when it comes to on-base percentage, Julio. 1 player in the top 100 when it comes to base slugging, that is Cal. So when I just read off those as basic stats, right? Scott's not responsible for putting those guys out there. He's not responsible on the offseason saying, this is the team that I want. Let's trot them out there and see what happens. No, he's responsible for working with what he has. What I will challenge you on, Stacey, is that the culture does seem off. And the culture could be a domino effect.
I think that's it, though.
The culture could be, all right, well, we're not winning games. We're not scoring runs. So naturally, there's going to be some tension. There better be some tension in that clubhouse. We better not be seeing guys walking out, smiling, having a good time. I remember watching, I believe it was against the Tampa Bay Rays, right? I'm watching these guys warm up, and this was when they had a few game lead in the division. Things were going well. I'm watching these guys warm up. Everyone's smiling. I go, well deserved. When you're in a place like you are now, there better not be dudes out there running around, high-fiving the other team, having a great time. Y'all got to lock in. You got to do something. So the culture is definitely affected by the play on the field, but Scott also didn't put these guys on the field. If you want to criticize him, we don't know what he's saying in the clubhouse. We don't know how stern he is with these guys. We don't know how much pressure he's putting on them. And the bullpen management, I guess you can point at that in some situations and say, I would have done things differently. But he's not the only one making the decisions when it comes to the bullpen. I hit up a homie who was doing his thing, who was connected to the squad. And he goes, look, it's Scott and 3 other guys. Real quick, I forgot to say this. Happy birthday to my son, Kobe. He turns, is he 12? Yes, 12. Yeah, he's 12 today. He's 12.
Happy birthday, Kobe.
Happy birthday. He's 12 today. Love you, man. Hope you have a great day. I'll holler at you when I get to the house.
I agree with you that it's off right now. It's like a chicken before the egg thing. I think that is the result of losing. That is the result of losing a 10-game first-place lead in 24 games. The only thing I'll accept as, like, fair, I have no counterpoint to that, is if you say, I think that the vibe of the team, the culture, is unfixable unless you make a change. Okay, I can buy that. If you say, you know what, I think it's just time for new blood. Sometimes you got to do something. I can buy that. If you say, you know what, it may or may not be his fault, but a manager is, of the utmost power at this level, at the clubhouse level, and so you have to be responsible for it. I can buy that. I can buy all of those as reasons. What I can't buy is, well, some of these players just aren't playing really well. What's Scott supposed to do? They're doing everything they possibly can, but you also acquire players that are like 2-3 years past their prime. Like are you really complaining that Colton Wong last year didn't come in and look amazing? I promise you that Scott Service very quickly realized that Colton Wong was done for. But what's he going to do?
You know how this goes, though. You know how this
1,000%.
goes. Like he's going to get some of the heat, and he deserves some of the heat. The players deserve the heat. Management deserves the heat. It's about how are you allocating the heat, though? Because I'm looking at the text lines. There are some people who are just saying, it's him. He needs to get out of here. I got to remind you, he's not throwing the pitches. He's not catching the rock. He's not playing defense. He's working with what he has. Does he deserve some of the blame? Everyone who's in that organization deserves the blame. I mean, I'll throw it at the PR. They deserve some of it. You know what I mean? Anyone who's involved in this deserves it. So, unfortunately, there are some situations where guys get more of the blame than they should get. And if things don't go the way that we hope it can go, if they don't turn things around, naturally Service is going to get more of the blame than I think he necessarily should get.
1,000%.
And what do organizations do when they feel that heat? They point the finger as well. People upstairs will point the finger and be like, well, he's not doing what he's supposed to do. And everyone's looking at each other pointing the finger. Who has the final say? It's the guys who cut the checks.
Yeah.
And they have the biggest influence. Who's pointing the finger at them, though? Do they feel that pressure? I know they'll feel it from us. I know they'll feel it from the fans. But who's holding them accountable? Because they're putting everyone else in a jacked up position. It starts at the top. How much money can you spend? What players can you acquire? Then it trickles all the way down.
Someone said, respectfully, it would be interesting if investigative journalism could find out if Service is in the conversation about player acquisition in the offseason. I know that it was a totally different situation, but do you think Schneider and Pete didn't talk when a player was acquired? So to answer, I'm sure that Service has an opinion when it comes to those conversations with Jerry. I think the gap between the power Jerry has and the influence Scott has is, as you noted, vastly wider than the gap between the influence Pete had and the choices Schneider made.
It's different.
They were neck and neck, toe-to-toe with the decisions they were making. Service can say, hey, I really like this guy or whatever. These are front office decisions, and a front office that is limited by budget. If I'm looking at, honestly, areas where I've thought Service did a pretty decent job, how about 90 wins with a 25th overall payroll in 2021? How about 90 wins with a 21st overall payroll in 2022 when you made the playoffs? 18th overall payroll in 2023, 88-74. No playoffs, really disappointing. I hated it. I totally get it. You also had some pitcher injuries. You had some other problems. This is not a team that is built to look like a World Series contender. Service is not in charge of building that team.
Absolutely correct. He's still gonna get some heat, man. Unfortunately,
1,000%, because that's how this works.
And he should be angry. And how can he apply pressure? Doing exactly what he did after the game. You're talking to the media, and you feel it. You're putting it out there. Look, we're not good enough. We're not swinging the bats. You put that message out there because you know dang well ownership is watching every move that you make, and they're trying to figure out, or they're listening to see what message are you sending to your team. He has to put that out there. And I don't know this for a fact, but I'm sure he's talking to Jerry and saying, man, what do you want me to do with this team? Like, Jerry, what do you want me to do with this team? You got to get me a bat. You got to help out this bullpen. These are the things that I need. Will they do it is a different story, right? And how much money does Jerry have to work with is a different story. It's all connected, man. It's as frustrated as Scott is. I'm frustrated as well because there's opportunity here, and they're just not seizing it. And now Julio's hurt, JP is hurt, Ty is gone. I'm looking at the lineup, and I'm saying, where's the juice going to come from? It has to be a helpless place that Scott is in because he can't do anything but set that dang lineup and hope that these guys figure it out.
How are the Brewers, Twins, Rays, and Cleveland constantly pretty good every year? There's been many managers who've been dealt an iffy roster. You think Cleveland's an iffy roster? You think the Cleveland Guardians are an iffy roster? I disagree with you. I think that there are teams who have acquired better talent with budget limitations than Seattle has, to be frank. I think that Scott Service absolutely could do a better job at times, particularly with bullpen stuff. This isn't me saying put him in the Hall of Fame, make him manager of the year. This is amazing. This is me saying I think that we've got blinders on and we're looking for an immediate fix, thinking, well, if you fire Scott Service, you'll be fine. That doesn't fix your problem. That doesn't get you to a World Series. That doesn't, by the way, do anything for you in a season when you are still tied for first place in the AL West. What? You're going to fire your manager, punt on the season, and say, I hate the offense. I'm done with it. Okay, well, what can you learn about the offense this year? How about don't acquire players that clearly don't have anything left or that clearly are coming here and really struggling? Like this to me, and player execution for that matter.
Firing the manager is not going to change the player's performance. What it can do is change the mood in the clubhouse, change the mood in the dugout, but the mood doesn't make you execute. It can help. It can put you in a better place, I guess, mentally. But with the guys who are on this roster right now, I think if you were to let go of Scott Service, right, you're going to get that same feeling, but worse that you had when Sewald and Graveman were no longer with the team. There are guys who are going to be upset because these are professional ball players. They know that it's up to them. They know they have to get in there, and when you're ahead in the count, look for that fastball hit it. That's the thing that trips me out with this team right now is that breaking balls are being thrown at an all-time rate, right? When you are ahead in the count and you know that they're going to serve up a meatball, a nice little fastball, you have to hit the dang ball. I'm not saying it's easy to do, but goodness gracious, some of the situation that they're in and the lack of execution has nothing to do with Scott Service. Absolutely nothing. When it's all said and done, I'm a receiver. You throw me the football and I'm wide open, catch a dang ball, or make a tough catch. You're paid to do that. They're paid to hit the rock. They're not doing it, and now the lineup is all jacked up. I feel for Scott. He does share some responsibility, but it's mostly on the players and the guys upstairs, mainly the guys upstairs for putting this team together and saying, all right, go ahead and run.
Exactly. I could not agree more. There are plenty of people that disagree. I'm seeing it all over the Mac and Jacks text line. I saw it all over Twitter of people being like, here's why I, can't stand the guy, or here's why I'm ready to move on. And I disagree. I don't think you can't have that opinion. I'm just also stumped. Like I'm Bump, I know you feel the same. It's just like when someone's like, oh, he's it. If you move on from him, that'll solve it. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't think that's the case. And I also, what a way to talk about a team for the first 15 minutes of the show that's tied for first place in the division.
Right.
So thankfully.
First place.
I know. And
let's go.
Another 15 minutes, we're going to talk about the trade deadline and maybe add a bit of a silver lining a bit later in the show. Right now, let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
Headline number one, J.P. Crawford has a hairline fracture in his right pinky and will head to the IL. What's the real headline?
Is that the only thing on this team that's starting to crack?
Oof, man, it's I feel like this team is like in a cartoon where there's a little crack in the dam and you see a little water leaking out a little bit. You're like, man, you better patch that up quickly or the dam is about to burst wide open. That's what it feels like right now. But again, tied for first place. Like the dam is cracked. Things are happening. You're still in the fight. Somebody help me, please. Management, do something.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 2, Ty France was seen packing up his locker and saying goodbyes following last night's loss. What's the real headline?
Letting France go is an interesting move, especially when the Mariners love acquiring players who were at their best 2 years ago.
Dang.
If France was on a different team,
Let me tell you what.
he might get picked up by the Mariners.
Absolutely picked
They'd
up
be
by the
like, look,
Mariners.
you see that 2022 season? There's something in there. We believe in him. And I wish, and all jokes aside, I wish Ty the best. He did have some great moments. But no, Ty France, where he is right now, is the type of player that the Mariners are probably going to pick up at the trade deadline.
Yeah, and I do hope that at the trade deadline they make a slightly more aggressive move. I was actually seeing a lot of sentiment. So I still go to Mariners Reddit a ton. I always have, but I still go a ton. And I find that in general, people are still kind of aggressive about making a move at the trade deadline, but it's starting to be closer and closer to 50-50, with some people being like, why would you sell the farm to salvage this horrible year?
Yeah.
And other people being like, how dare you look at this rotation and not build something?
Yeah, and there's 5 more games that these guys can get. They can get. They could come out tonight at first pitch is at 6:40. At 6:40 and look great and go on a run, and you feel differently about this team. But you're getting to that point where I don't think either side is really wrong at this point, where there's like, they're done, don't even worry about it, let's prep for next year. Or, hey, if they get a little bit of help, they might be able to do something. Got to wait and see when JP comes back, Julio gets back, and when they're completely healthy, that's when you make your true evaluations, but it's not looking good.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 3, per the Washington Post, the NFL and NFLPA have already begun discussions over an 18-game regular season schedule. What's the real headline?
Mariners really getting it this morning. Not since double-digit strikeouts for the M's offense has anything been so predictable.
Yeah, it's going down. We know this. The NFL wants to capitalize on the 18-game regular season schedule. You make more money, more exposure, and it affects the TV deals, everything. And it's going this way. I mean, Canada's been doing it for so long. I'm sure that's part of their discussion as well. What needs to happen, though, if they do go to the 18-game season is you need 2 bye weeks. That's a lot on the body, man. 18 weeks of going at it, and you add in the preseason games for some of these guys. It's tough. It's going to happen, though. It's inevitable.
Can I get back to the Scott conversation for a minute? Because we have some listener feedback. So we have, when a lot of players are struggling with the same thing, it's hard not to point to coaching as an issue, as maybe the most prominent comment, which I completely understand. This is in part influenced, to be frank, by a lot of people I've talked to behind the scenes, much like you, Bump. And I've asked every single one of them, is this a coaching issue? Every single one has said no.
No. It's, look, Scott is the head honcho, right? He is the leader when it comes to all of his coaches. But he's not the expert in everything. That's why you have coaches on your staff, guys who are expert at certain things. So when you see a team struggling, naturally you look at the head coach because it's his responsibility to get things right. Then you start looking at the coaches and saying, what can you do to help me in this situation? How can we help these players? It's all connected. You're divvying out the responsibility, but when it's all said and done, when it's game day, you're looking at Scott. But behind the scenes, there's a bunch of other coaches who have jobs to do as well. And the players have to be able to receive that information. But if they are not good enough to execute the information they're receiving, then all the coaches look like they're just not doing their jobs. And now the coaches are looking upstairs and saying, give me something to work with, because they're not retaining. They're not able to execute. It's so easy to point the finger, and you can and you should when you're trying to figure some things out. But there's a hierarchy when it comes to this whole thing, man. There's a web when it comes to this coaching. You just look at Scott and you look at Jerry, you look at ownership, and you tell them to get this thing going. But it's such a tough position for Scott to be in right now.
I know.
Because a lot of this stuff is out of his control.
Well, and so much of it is just out of the control of any manager anywhere. Like, I see so many comments that are like, Lou Piniella isn't a manager in today's MLB. It's very different. So the idea that Scott has some huge influence over personnel acquisition, the idea that you can go to players today and just yell at them until they perform, Like, did we not see this issue with Curtis? Was it the White Sox and their previous manager where that was
Tony
a big...
LaRussa?
Tony La Russa, where that was a big critique of him, like not being able to connect with players because he was just forcing it way too much. And who knows? Maybe Lou Piniella would be amazing with this team currently. I have no idea, but when I think of what managers have control over today and I see what Scott does, I think, passing grade. I'm okay with this.
Man, it's this ain't football or basketball where coaching has a real effect on in-game type of play. Right? McDonald is going to call defense. He's going to blitz on third downs. He's going to find the weakness on the offensive line and attack it and boom, get this defense in good position. What the heck can Scott do when that ball is in play?
I'm looking at this, right, 206. I was a manager in business for years, okay? My team was always near number one because my energy was off the charts always. I like service, but he has no energy. How can the team feed off that? No energy equals no wins.
That's too simple, my man or woman. It's too simple. Energy. Stacey, come in here with energy with no prep and let's see how this show goes.
Right.
Energy can only affect so much. Yeah, it keeps people in a good mood, but those people got to have the right attributes to do a job, and they just don't got it right now. Man, it's people are simplifying this thing, and I understand that because when you simplify it, it comforts you. You're like, okay, I figured out what's going on.
Yeah.
But in reality, there are so many layers to this, and Scott's getting the heat. And again, he gets paid to take the heat.
1,000%.
Right? And he stands in front of the camera after every game, and he does exactly that. But if you know how organizations work, especially in baseball, you understand that. There's only so much you can do.
206, but why do new Mariners hitters regularly underperform their baseball cards? That is a really important question. I just don't know that coaching is the answer. I think if I had to guess, just guess, and I would need to delve further in and talk to more people and get more research. But if I had to guess, it would be that the bats that are brought in aren't brought in as sure things. You're not bringing in 5-time All-Stars. You're bringing in guys who were an All-Star once 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And hoping that they look like that. Or you're bringing in guys that are above average but not elite and hoping they look above average and then they come here and they don't. Well, shoot. That might be a player issue. It might be a new environment. It might be a ballpark issue. It could be a personal issue. It could be anything. And it could be coaching. I'm leaving that open.
It's all connected.
I'm not standing here saying I know it's not.
It's all connected. Coaching plays a role for sure.
Yeah. Let's talk about the trade deadline. Jeff Passan predicts deadline buyers. Hear what he had to say about the Mariners next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
Gino, he's a guy that I think is probably the biggest question mark on this team for a lot of people nationally.
You know, this guy's been through it, man. What a weird career Gino has had. You start off as a starter, and then all of a sudden you're in a backup situation. I think he was just kind of accepting his situation. Now you see how he is. He's very assertive, and like he wants to be somebody, and he's probably at that point, I'm just going to go out there and let it rip. I'm not playing with something to lose. I'm playing with something to gain.
Streaming on your smart speaker.
Are you looking for a construction loan to build your dream home? Are you a local builder needing a better financing option for your next spec project? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. Stop wasting time with local banks and credit unions and their endless guidelines. We're the experts for common sense residential construction loans. We lend our own money, we make our own decisions. And if your deal makes sense, we'll get it done fast with flexible terms. For homeowners, we advise you every step of the way with things like budget and timeline, ensuring the completion of your dream home. For builders, Legacy's not only your lender, we'll source your next deal, provide permitting services, and if you're short on equity, we'll invest alongside of you. Legacy Group Capital has lent more than $1 billion, helping over 130 local builders and hundreds of homeowners. We can help you.
Construction loans don't have to be hard. Borrow smart with a common sense construction loan from Legacy Group Capital. Visit LegacyG.com. LegacyG.com.
The 2024 Seahawks season is almost here. Get fitted for game days with jerseys, caps, and tees, including the 2024 Training Camp Collection. Visit the Seahawks Pro Shop at the Landing in Renton and Lumen Field, or online at Seahawks.com/Pro Shop.
Want to listen to Seattle sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
I'm here with my friend Mark Clymer from Wayscar Ford, Isuzu in Auburn. Mark, is now the best time to buy a new car?
Well, it absolutely is right now because we have our factory invoice sale going on right now, which means you're going to pay what we pay. And this is on all our 24 model vehicles, basically, everything except for Raptors. So we're talking F-150s, Rangers, Mavericks, F-250s, Explorers, Escapes, Expeditions. You name it, these are brand new 2024 models. They also come with our lifetime powertrain coverage and 5 days or 500-mile, 100% money-back guarantee, so you can shop with total confidence. There's no negotiating, nothing. You pay what we pay. We're overstocked right now, and we need to make room. We have a lot more vehicles coming in. So, yeah, you're right. If you've been putting it off and you're looking to get a new Ford, for a limited time, we're having our factory invoice sale. You pay what we pay.
Take the hassle out of car shopping. You know you're getting a great deal at Wayscar Ford, Isuzu in Auburn. WayscarFord.com.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here. Just want to brag, if you don't mind, about my guys for a sec at Riverside Roofing, because they just closed a multi-million-dollar roofing project on the east side, and I'm just incredibly proud. But to be honest, not at all surprised. It speaks to the trust and the reputation that Riverside Roofing's established throughout this market with exceptional work, honesty, and just positive word of mouth. Riverside Roofing can handle any roof, any job. I've seen it with my own two eyes when they worked on my project at my house. Riverside Roofing are also certified Tesla roof installers. So go to riversideroofingllc.com and get a free quick quote on your roofing project within just 60 seconds. Don't wait, because right now is the busy season for roofers, and you're going to want to get your project scheduled while there's still time. Consider Riverside Roofing for your roofing project this summer. They're family owned. They serve all of Western Washington. Ask for a veterans discount as well, and even a referral bonus. Go to riversideroofingllc.com. It's Riverside Roofing, the roofing company you can trust.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
We are a week and some change away from MLB's trade deadline. Let's find out whether or not the Mariners are going to be buyers, according to Jeff Passan. He was on with Brock and Salk this morning, but this is actually from his latest column for ESPN. He predicts that the teams going big at the deadline will be the Dodgers. They're widely projected to go after Garrett Crochet. They badly need an arm. They're going to become this unstoppable force if they get one. Completely understand. They're also the Dodgers. Yankees, all in. White Sox, all out. Marlins, all out. So he talks about true sellers, true buyers. That's who's there. He has the Mariners under teams looking to capitalize described as adding within reason. Bump, your immediate reaction.
Yeah, that sounds like the Mariners.
Yeah.
Adding within reason. Yeah, within reason means that depending on how much money they're allowed to spend, depending on who's available, depending on what Jerry's allowed to do. To me, it always comes down to resources, back to resources, and some organizations have more resources. Main resources, money. And are you going to be allowed to spend? What offers are you going to be able to put on the table? Because end of the day, it's not like the Mariners are the only team that are going to go after the same players. You think Luis Roberts is going to sit there and hear one offer from the Mariners and say, oh, I'll just stay in Chicago? No, there are other teams that are going to go after him. You think Bellinger is going to hear one offer and be like, oh, actually, I'll go with that team rather than stay with the Chicago Bears? No, the job of an agent is to make that player available, talk to other teams and say, look, what are your offers? Send them our way, and we'll let you know where you stand in this competition to acquire this player. So that's what it comes down to. And the part that most people fear is that the offer that the Mariners put out there for certain players just isn't going to stack up to other organizations.
I've got some Jeff Passan sound in general. Curtis, this is from this morning with Brock and Salk, right?
Right.
Yes. Okay. So this is the latest sound from Jeff on the deadline in general. So we'll go over some of these and then kind of stay in this vein of where the Mariners have gotten themselves. And I do agree that does mean that just by virtue of where they are and who they are, they kind of can't be all in anymore as much as we wanted them to be. But there's no excuse not to buy. And for the record, that's kind of what Jeff says. Like, you have no excuse not to go at least try to get something. And that's in part because of your pitching staff.
You know, I have a trade deadline preview up on ESPN.com right now. And I was looking because in my head, you know, I wanted to say the Mariners have the best rotation in the American League. It's tough to say that anyone has been better than Philadelphia this year, so I didn't want to go all the way to Major League Baseball. But I just, you know, I wanted to double check, and I looked, and yeah, by ERA, by FIP, by all the reasonable measures, this is the best rotation.
And yet they're flirting with a .500 record. To him, that's unacceptable, which is why he feels it's their duty to add.
It's the Mariners' duty at this point to add to this pitching staff, because if the offense is even average, you have a team that not only can win the American League West, guys, but a team that can go very deep into the playoffs. And so I would not let a bad offensive stretch, and by stretch I mean like 100 games, but I would not let a bad offensive stretch torpedo what still could be a very memorable season.
I completely agree. What about you?
So what I'm hearing is that, look, obviously you need to add bats, right? But your strength are your arms. And he's looking at the situation and saying, well, you can make that stronger too. Because once if you do get into the playoffs, we know that your strength is amplifies, right, in the playoffs. It gives you a better chance. You can't ignore any of your weaknesses, but you can also make your strength even stronger, I feel like. But to me, I'm still looking at the bats and saying, well, if you're only putting up 2 to 3 runs a game anyway, you can have the best arms in the game. I mean, we saw this yesterday. Miller was the sharpest I've seen him all year, I feel like. It had to be 1 or 2 of his best outings, and it still wasn't enough because you just don't have the firepower. And then, granted, things happen. Julio's not there, JP. Obviously, there are always some things that affect the situation. But, no, you need to improve this team any way that you can. The most urgent is obviously the bats, but I can also see that bullpen being addressed as well because we've seen the struggles there over the past, week or two.
Just kind of heading to the Mac and Jack's text line, which is fueling a lot of our first hour, but we're trying to lean heavy into kind of how fans are feeling. The majority of people just feel like, what's the point? What's the point in continuing to add if this offense is so bad and 1 or 2 bats won't fix it? I don't want to give up pieces that could help us down the road for 1 or 2 bats if that's not going to be enough to do anything but make it to a wild card series.
Nothing. All right. So what does fixing it mean to you guys? Like,
good question.
To me, I just want it to help. You still are in first place. it's not a given that the Astros are going to go on this crazy run and just leave you in the dust. They did catch up to you. You had a nice lead in the turn, and they caught up to you, and you guys are neck and neck right now. Right now, it's just how can I help this team stay in the race, because the Astros have shown that they can go into a dive as well. You can't count on it, but this is baseball, and there's still a bunch of games left. Nothing is guaranteed. If this team were 5-8 games ahead, of course we're saying all in, let's go get it right now. You have to change your approach based off of what your team is giving you right now, but you also got to look at the division and say, we're still in this fight. All right, our priorities may have changed, right? The urgency might have switched a bit as far as how hard we're going to go at the trade deadline, but you still have to improve this team, because you can get hot and you never know. I know people don't want to hear that right now because you're living in the now and you're seeing the struggles that this team is having. But okay, let's see the struggles and let's still see what position they're in. They're still tied for first place. I mean, and the Astros are beatable. And the Astros are not a perfect team. They are flawed as well. What do you think the Astros are going to do at trade deadline? They're going to look at some arms. They have to improve as well. The Astros aren't going to stay the same. So just stay in the fight. And there's enough to stay in the fight. Is it enough to win the division? We shall see. But right now, he's still in it.
That's the thing. The Astros are also deeply flawed. Ryan Divish told us that yesterday. And they are. They're getting Verlander back. But again, you have no guarantee that he's going to be his typical self upon re-entering the season. Maybe he is. Maybe he looks just fine. But still, Tucker's going to come back. He was playing like an MVP prior to getting hurt, but let's see how long it takes him to kind of rehab and get back out there. Those are two things they have going in their favor. Going against them is their rotation and the fact that the best arm in the rotation is inching toward a career high in innings pitched, and it is July 23rd. This is a deeply flawed team. Okay? This is not the Astros of years past. Now, did they come into your stadium and make you look foolish? Yeah.
For sure.
I'll give them that.
We did to them, too.
Do I hate that happened so that Astros fans can go around bragging about how they still own the division? Yeah, I do hate that. But are you going to give it to them?
That's it. The competitor in me, and I feel like I hope the Mariners have that competitiveness in them, isn't going to just say, oh, we're tied for first, you got us. It's over.
Loser mentality.
Can you be frustrated? Can you try to figure out what's going on? For sure, you're supposed to. Can you point out the flaws? Can you ask questions about services and his motivation? For sure, you can do that. But the last thing you want to do is just give up. If we get to the last couple weeks of the season and you're X amount of games behind and it's over, then it's over. But it ain't over right now. It feels like it's over, but it ain't over.
I'm going to say something that is going to really bother some people. But if you don't care about trying to get to the playoffs, and if you don't care about trying to get to a World Series, why are you mad ownership doesn't, according to you?
Ooh, that's a bar.
Why can you sit here and be upset that Jerry and co. aren't constructing a World Series roster, that John Stanton isn't opening his wallet more and spending money? Are you able to be just as livid about that when you're willing to be like, never mind, let's just not go for it? If you adopt a loser mentality, why can't other people? Why don't you instead demand that your club reward a very loyal, by the way, fan base by trying? The bare minimum, try to win. That's the bare minimum of a sports team. Try to win. Call for that. Don't just sit back and be fine with being done with the season on July 23rd. I can't with that mentality. We did, Bump, get a really, really great question from a listener that I think you and I will disagree with, but I also found myself like questioning my own assumptions. This is still about coaching, but instead we're going to compare two situations. One listener said, hey, if Pete Carroll was fired for not doing enough with a group that should have been better, how is Service's situation different or the same? I thought it was a really good question, a time to kind of explore the responsibility of coaching and underperformance. That's next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
And I thought today would be a good day for some rapid-fire Seahawks questions. I know how you love rapid-fire, Brock.
You always do this to me at 7:30. I mean, can we wait till like 9:30 when the juices are flowing? I get acclimated to the show. I get some time to get the horsepower, revved up before you just start making fun of me like right out the gate.
When you got called into a game, did you tell everybody, like, wait a minute, I have to get acclimated?
Maura, did you see my career?
Going from 6 a.m.
Have you seen my career numbers, Maura? Yes.
Streaming on your smart speaker.
July is Vehicle Theft Prevention Month. The Puget Sound Auto Theft Task Force, in cooperation with the International Auto Theft Investigators Association, asks you to help prevent vehicle theft and stop auto fraud. Lock your doors, use anti-theft devices, and don't leave titles or important documents in your vehicle. Install immobilization devices such as ignition or fuel disablers. Never leave keys or fobs in your vehicle, and never leave your vehicle running unattended. Paid for by the Washington Auto Theft Prevention Authority.
Lexus is electrified, and the first ever RZ450E has the performance and range to get you where you need to go. With the exclusive Lexus Direct 4 all-wheel drive technology, Lexus of Bellevue has over 50 RZs available for immediate delivery with electrifying savings. Up to $18,500 lease cash on every RZ450E. Visit LexusofBellevue.com.
On approval of credit through LFS, lease cash from Lexus available on select 2024 RZ styles. Must take delivery by July 31st, 2024. A documentary service fee up to $200 may be added to the purchase price or capitalized costs. See dealership for details.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. Call today and ask about our trade-in sale. Years of experience, thousands of happy customers. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
LASIK and ICL at King LASIK are two incredible solutions to great vision. Hey, it's Dr. King. After more than 250,000 procedures, you can trust our team to know your best option.
Schedule a Zoom consult now and save $1,000 on LASIK. KingLASIK.com.
You're free now. Free to fill your feed with impossibly chunky chunkers who chunk harder than you ever thought possible.
Cats, corgis, babies, baby penguins, baby pandas, chunky baby pandas.
Free to make your smart devices do silly things. Free to open a world of remote work and a portal into Gametopia.
Who's the boss now?
Free to be everything you imagine and then some. That's how it feels to have Quantum Fiber Internet. Quantum Fiber, your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com. Limited availability, service in select locations only.
Whether you're a street motorcycle rider or even a trail rider, here's your chance to win one of two motorcycles. Visit ridefreepnw.com to enter. Eastside Harley-Davidson, Emerald City Harley-Davidson, and Law Tigers are giving away a Harley-Davidson Street Bob and a Touratech-equipped Pan American motorcycle. Explore the best of the Pacific Northwest on one of these bikes, street or trail. Take your pick and enter to win right now. Go to ridefreepnw.com and sign up today. The deadline for this giveaway is near, so enter now. Again, at ridefreepnw.com. And keep in mind, the Law Tigers know how important your motorcycle is to you, so if you've been in an accident, you know who to call. Call Law Tigers at 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. They will get you the help that you need. Again, if you've been injured in a motorcycle accident, call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or check them out online at lawtigers.com. The Law Tigers, Washington's motorcycle lawyers, Mateer Law Firm, LLC.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
4 down territory, going inside the game with Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bump and Stacy.
Experience an unforgettable night of music as Gavin DeGraw and Colby Calais grace the stage at the Emerald Queen Casino Event Center, Friday, August 2nd. Gavin DeGraw's soulful voice and Colby Calais' Grammy-winning melodies. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. Don't miss your chance to see Gavin DeGraw and Colby Calais live in concert August 2nd at the Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. 21 and older, need gambling help, call 800-547-6133 or visit emeraldqueen.com.
High five! Up top! Heck yeah!
Dave's company just got the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business.
Yeah, 5 years!
It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
High five for gig speed.
5 years of advanced security.
Security win.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Our rate ain't changing.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
There it is.
He hasn't given this many high fives since Deborah brought in her famous banana bread.
Woohoo!
Now he's got savings.
I'm so excited.
Yep, Dave's feeling it. But it's only for a limited time, so don't wait. Switch today and ask how to get the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business. Powering 5 years of savings. Powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
And it's hurting, but I am not stopping.
Woo! Ends 8/21/24. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
Ahoy, mateys! The Washington Midsummer Renaissance Fair continues this weekend at Sky Meadows Park in Snohomish with Pirates Plunder, a high seas adventure. Deck yourself in your finest pirate regalia, whether ye be a captain or a scallywag, and dive into the frolic and fray. Set your course for a weekend filled with swashbuckling fun and a treasure trove of adventure. Parking be free. The Washington Midsummer Renaissance Fair. Tickets sold at WashingtonFair.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
This is Bumpin' Stacy
weekdays 10 to 2.
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Bump, I want to know what you think about these two situations. A question from a listener. We were talking about service and where his responsibility is or isn't when it comes to an underperforming roster.
Mhm.
It also depends on your definition of how much they're underperforming. But a listener said, if Pete Carroll was fired, how is Service's situation different or the same? And then they added some context and they said, I said, hey, I disagree. I think they're very different. And they said, okay, but I feel like personnel-wise, very similar situations. Some great players, some not. Couldn't get to the next level. Why? All caps. I thought it was a good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think it makes for a good conversation because we've seen that a bunch of times on the text line, right? You're comparing Service and Pete Carroll. Here's the difference. Pete Carroll has a red flag in his pocket that he can throw in the game. Challenge affects the game. Pete Carroll can call a timeout in the game, affects the game. Pete Carroll and John Schneider are both in the draft room evaluating players and seeing who they want to be on this team, affects the game. Pete Carroll can get on the headset and tell his defensive coordinator, hey, get in the quarters, man. I think they're going deep right here, affects the game. Pete Carroll can get on the horn with his offensive coordinator and says, we got to run the football. We got to run the football, affects the game. There are other ways that Pete Carroll can affect the game on a Sunday, and Service just can't do that. There's no challenge. Well, there's a challenge for Service. He can challenge the game. He's not calling for a defense to do certain things or an offense to do certain things. He kind of just sits there and watch it all goes down and try to determine when he's going to go to the bullpen or not, or if he's going to pull a guy because he's banged up or a pinch runner. It's just the way Pete Carroll affects the organization and the game is completely different. Like Pete Carroll wanted to draft Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright. He watched film on him and said, this is the guy that I want. Pete Carroll made the decision himself to start Russell Wilson instead of Flynn at the time. Pete Carroll himself, him and John Schneider, him and the GM are going through all these evaluation of players, and they're constructing the team. So when Pete Carroll holds on to a coordinator too long because he affects the game, or they're drafting guys who aren't performing, then you're looking at Pete Carroll and saying, what you're doing just isn't working anymore because you see Pete Carroll on the football field affecting the game. You just don't see that with Service. That doesn't exclude Service from any type of criticism because he affects the team in certain ways. I mentioned he can challenge some things. He goes to the bullpen. He's a guy talking to these guys before the games, making sure they're in the right mental space. He's setting the lineup, and most of the time the lineup is already set because the guys upstairs are looking at data and saying, this is where you should go. So that's the biggest difference to me is that on game day, Pete Carroll can contribute a lot to a win or a loss. On game day, Service can contribute, but it's not to the magnitude of a football coach.
I'll throw on that what the Seahawks ran with, scheme, system, offensive philosophy, defensive philosophy, was Carroll's. And then they built the team around that. With the Mariners, their offensive philosophy is an organizational philosophy that Scott is responsible for upholding, though not entirely responsible for creating and then kind of filling in a way Carroll was. However, let's get back to that question of underperforming. There are players with the Seahawks who underperformed, and you looked at it and said, should this defense be so bad? There are players on the Mariners who are underperforming. Jorge Polanco, underperforming. You could make a case for Mitch Garver underperforming, even though you didn't see a ton of him as just like a regular DH since he split time at catcher with the
just hoping
Rangers.
2 years ago he
Right.
does that again. Same old
So
story.
when you look at a roster like the Mariners, do you give Scott a little more blame for a roster underperforming, or do you say, my expectations weren't sky high to begin with, I think that this is just where they're at? Like, how do you know what, in the context of just underperforming or not, how do you see them?
My expectations honestly were that they would finish second in the division. But then they give you some type of hope. They take advantage of a situation where the Astros are playing poorly. You're playing good enough to win, but you're still kind of hesitant to buy in because you're looking at the way that they're winning and saying, I don't know if this is sustainable. Can they handle this? But no, my expectations for this team, even after the additions, I think we liked the Polanco addition. I think we liked the Luke Raley addition. But we weren't moved to believe that this was going to be a team that can win the World Series. It's still been the same. Get into the playoffs, get a wild card spot, and see what happens from there. So the fact that they are here is frustrating because you saw where they were a month ago. But is it really that? It's not that surprising. And it was more surprising that the Astros were playing as bad as they were playing. So then they start to play some good baseball, good enough to catch the Mariners, and it's not surprising. Nothing that is happening is surprising. I think it's more disappointing because you felt like there was a real opportunity to kind of put your foot down and keep this thing going.
I'm going to give you a chance to respond to some listeners. The 775 from Nevada says, a baseball manager does far more than just sit back and make bullpen decisions. I don't think that's what you were saying.
I
What
didn't
you're
say
saying
that's just
is
what he does. No.
that a coach like KIRO, who has an outsized influence on the game compared to some other NFL coaches, you do grade him, quote, differently than a modern baseball manager.
Exactly. A modern baseball manager is talking to people in the data department and saying, this is what your lineup should be today. I'm sure he has the power to say, actually, I want to try to go this direction. He's listening to, he's not even involved when it comes to roster construction. Every head coach in the NFL is involved in the roster construction. They're in the room. They're talking to their scouts. They know what type of player they want. They know what type of offense they want to run, what type of defense they want to run, and they're helping plug in. There is scouting departments, and those guys are responsible for bringing the talent to the players. But at the end of the day, the football coach has way more impact on what that roster looks like when it's time for them to play in September.
I like this from a listener, 360. What the Seahawks have is a tradition of winning. The Mariners seem to shoot themselves in the foot every year. I'm going to build on that and say you are sometimes almost punished by winning. When you succeed, when you get to a Super Bowl, when you build a contending team, when you get to another, the expectation changes.
Yeah.
So for the Mariners, it's like, get back to the playoffs. If you do that, you've met the bar.
Yeah.
For the Seahawks, once you went long enough without winning the West, without winning, with having a bad defense, it wasn't, hey, you're in rebuild, give it time. It was, hey, there's an expectation you win.
How do you change the perception of an organization? You do things you haven't done. A couple years ago, you make the playoffs. Like, okay, we have to build off of this. That's why in the position they're in right now, I go, look, if you do just enough, you give these guys a push. I'm saying I wouldn't go for a rental at this point. If the situation were different, I go for a rental bat and say, all right, let's go all in. But they're not there anymore. But they can still get a push and get into the playoffs. So now you've been to the playoffs, what, 2 out of the last 4 years or 3 years? And the perception is different. It starts to change. That changes the culture. So when people sit here and they're like, oh, forget about it, let's just lose, how are you going to change your culture then if that's your mentality? How are the owners going to change the culture if they're going to punt at the midway through the season and you're in first place? You have to take these necessary steps. It's like people want all or nothing right now. And that's just not the way this works, especially when you play 162 of them things and you don't invest in it, right? It's not just going to happen like that. You have to stay in the fight. And if you stay in the fight, I use this analogy all the time, and you just drop the big man, you clip him one time on the chin, you never know. But to change the perception of organization and change the culture, you got to go through this, and you got to be able to be tied for the division, be playing bad baseball, say, you know what, we're not going to give up. Let's give them a little push and see if this will help this team.
Such a good point. Well said, Bump. We are going to take a break for Mariners since I know that it's kind of exhausting at times when you're frustrated with this team. So let's talk Seahawks. Let's talk NFL with Scott Pioli. He joins us next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
Jeff Passan, are they still definitively buyers here at the deadline?
It's the Mariners' duty at this point to add to this pitching staff, because if the offense is even average, you have a team that not only can win the American League West, but can go very deep into the playoffs. I would not let a bad offensive stretch torpedo what still could be a very memorable season.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
This is a paid political announcement. A Bob for Bob update. Under 12 years of Bob Ferguson as Attorney General and Chief Prosecutor, we in Washington have seen a lot of increases. This, of course, includes a 26% increase in violent crime, 58% increase in homicides, and Washington ranking 4th in the country in stolen vehicles in 2023, behind California, Texas, and Florida. Oh, and according to the FBI, Washington was the 8th most dangerous state between 2020 and 2022. Don't ask for help if you drive a Hyundai or a Kia that's been stolen. What has AG Bob Ferguson done? Bob's been busy planning his governor's campaign and keeping Washington last in the country in law enforcement officers per citizen. As the leader of the Bob for Bob committee, I encourage you to vote Bob if you want more of these crippling policies for Washington, so Bob gets what he's always wanted, governor. Paid for by the Bob for Bob Committee, 1283 Puyallup, Washington, 98371. Top 4 donors: Steve Gordon, Fremont Dock Company, Brian Haywood, and Susie Burke.
Can't fix everything for everybody, but you can be there and listen and try to help with what you can. You're there to support them, and that's the best that you can do.
It's this commitment, this philosophy that represents the LJ way.
This is my life. This is my family's life. The people that work here, they're my family. When something's not right with them, it's not right with us. My wife and 3 kids in the house, there's always something wrong with somebody at all times. And if there isn't, then something's wrong. When you have 388 employees, there's never a day that everything is good everywhere. You have to be okay with that. You have to look at that as opportunities to gain a better relationship with people and help them through what they're going through.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Free consultations, no fee guarantees, 5-star reviews. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains the importance of going beyond these familiar offerings.
Accident victims want an attorney, Tom, that satisfies their needs. Someone who handles those needs with the highest degree of care. Pendergast Law offers the no-fee guarantees and free consultations, but these only scratch the surface.
Okay, explain more.
We make sure that every member of our team is genuinely passionate about helping others. Customer service and communication are our top priority. It's how we take care of our clients so they always feel one step ahead of the insurance companies. Our strong reputation for high standards provides comfort and confidence when it's needed most.
Pendergast Law offers the free consultations, the no-fee guarantees, and of course, they are 5-star rated. But what really makes them different is their genuine passion for helping others. I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
That's PendergastLaw.com.
Have you considered surgery or even joint replacement? Hey, it's Dave Wyman, and before you make that decision, see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Why? Because he gives it to you straight. Dr. Wagner said my right knee needs replacement, and I appreciate his honesty and expertise. My left knee is fine right now, but the minute it isn't, I'm heading to Dr. Wagner for his expert opinion. I want to avoid another surgery, and I've heard so many patients rave about results from their 90-minute outpatient stem cell procedure with Dr. Wagner. He's a board-certified Seattle physician with over 30 years of experience and has performed more than 20,000 stem cell procedures using a person's own stem cells to regenerate cartilage in their own joints. People with severe osteoarthritis, even bone on bone, are back doing what they enjoy without pain and without surgery. Whether it's a shoulder, hip, elbow, ankle, wrist, or knee, before choosing surgery, see Dr. Mark Wagner first. Go to drmarkwagnermd.com.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit ConsumerCellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by July 31st, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The NFL is seriously considering adding an 18th regular season game. What a surprise. The league and the NFL Players Association are reportedly deep into schedule discussions, though negotiations haven't happened yet. A game still isn't imminent when it comes to adding that to the schedule. The Seahawks kick off training camp tomorrow. Players are reporting today. Bump and I will be live from Virginia Mason Athletic Center tomorrow afternoon.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Let's talk Seahawks. Let's talk NFL with NFL Network. Scott Pioli. Scott, how's it going?
It's going great. Thanks. How are you doing?
Fantastic. We are so excited. Well, it's already beautiful in Seattle, but we're excited to get out to Seahawks camp tomorrow. It's a very, very interesting year for Seattle. Been, 13, 14 years since we've had a new head coach. Scott, tell me on the outside looking in what Seattle's season looks like to you.
Well, I think there's going to be a season of learning for sure, and that season of learning doesn't mean that you can't be a good football team. So you've got a first-time head coach, and you've got coordinators that are new. You've got an entire system that's new, but you've got a foundation and a culture that exists there that's going to start to change and evolve. And I think I honestly, when there's change, when there's something new, I love to watch teams evolve. So I think it'll be a fun thing to watch. Pete Carroll did an incredible job during his time there. John Schneider also did an incredible job. John is still there. He's going to be helping, young head coach Mike McDonald and your new offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb and Adam Durde, who I know personally have worked with, who I think is a rising star in the NFL. So I think it's going to be exciting times for Seattle for sure.
Scott, obviously it's Ryan Grubb has called plays, right? I mean, he had one of the best offenses in the country at the University of Washington. So I'm not worried about his preparation. But what are some of the challenges you think he's going to face being a first-time play caller in the NFL?
Well, I think it's just different. The game is a little bit different, right? And the work he did at UW, as you mentioned, a terrific job. I mean, the game does change. The players change. So, like I say, I think one of the most important parts is you need to have continuity. But in order to have continuity, you have to let people get a start. Ryan's going to bump into some things that he hasn't seen before, that he hasn't dealt with before. But again, he's a smart coach. He's a good coach. And again, I think people just need to be patient and not overreact to when there are bumps in the road and when things are going to struggle. Because again, you've got a first-time head coach as well. There's three people working in roles for the first time in the NFL. That doesn't mean that they can't be successful, but I believe that patience is a very important thing. And I know, fans aren't very patient people. Media, we're not very patient. But I think patience is really a critical thing.
Had you heard anything about Mike McDonald prior to him being hired? Or I'm sure that you had seen his defense at Michigan, if not obviously at Baltimore. Did you have kind of thoughts about him before he took this job?
Yeah, I really did. And because, again, I did some work with the University of Michigan several years ago as a consultant and got to know him and about him and watch people respond. So I've been in situations and circumstances, including being down at the Ravens training camp when he was working there. And to me, it's not always just about getting to know the person. It's watching how the professional athletes respond. Because, right, he's a young guy. He's perceived at times as being younger than what he is. But people respond to him. And the reason that they respond to him is yes, he's a very, very smart guy. But he also is a smart person that knows how to communicate his knowledge and what he knows. Therefore, if you're a professional player, here's what I learned in my 30 years in the NFL. What professional players care about is coaches that can put them in a circumstance, in a situation, so they can be successful, so they can get the next contract. I think people are going to understand quickly with Mike, and because I've watched and observed it myself, he's going to put them not only in position to succeed, but he's going to educate them well enough where they're going to be able to know the game maybe better and or in different ways than they have before. Again, not saying that he's going to be, that Mike is smarter or better than Pete Carroll. It's just going to be different, and each coach teaches different nuance. So I think the players are going to react really well because he's going to put them in situations to set them up for success.
I was really excited about the hire, just the change. Obviously, when Pete Carroll got let go, I was surprised, and then Mike McDonald gets hired, and Stacey and I were excited. He was kind of the guy that we were hoping to get the job. But, you were Executive of the Year 5 times, right? So John Schneider, that's something that he hasn't been able to accomplish yet. But I think that it's set up for him to do that if all goes well with this coaching staff. What does a good year look like for John Schneider, and how would he achieve that Executive of the Year after the 2024 season?
The executive, thanks for mentioning that, but it's also overrated sometimes. I think some of the years that the group of people that I work, because to me that's not an individual award, because those of us that are in those decision-making roles are getting a lot of information, a lot of help from an awful lot of people. And then, oh, by the way, usually when the players play pretty well, we look a lot smarter than we are. And here's what I'll say. John has been more than qualified to have won Executive of the Year award in the past and before. It's again, it's one of those things. John doesn't have to do a whole heck of a lot. What he's got is he's got rings. He's got championships, whether it's conference and division championships. John has been a consistent winner. And I appreciate you mentioning that, but sometimes those individual things get a little bit overblown and don't tell the full story.
Hey, I wanted to step out of Seattle and maybe just take a look at the NFC West. We are all, of course, expecting San Francisco to go ahead and take that one.
I was up in Seattle a couple of weeks ago, by the way, and we did a little vacation and was up there with my bride, and I love that city. I mean, it's been a million times before between Seahawks games and being up to UW but we actually got some time to dial in. What a beautiful city. And we did the drive up to Vancouver. We had a great time. So I just got to give a shout out to the city. And also outside of the city, we went to go visit some good friends over in Bellevue. And found Ben & Jerry's, which made me really, really happy. So big shout out to Seattle. I got to spend some time there. And I'm a fat guy, so I like my Ben & Jerry's. What a wonderful city. I mean, it really, really is.
Oh, I love hearing that. We love that. Thank you so much, Scott, for mentioning that. Hopefully that'll sway your decision here, though I don't know that it will. How are you seeing the NFC West? I'm not asking for like a final ranking, but what's intriguing to you about this division? Who do you still see as a favorite?
Well, I still see the 49ers as a favorite. And I'm glad you're not asking me for a final rank because I'm a hot mess. When it comes to speculating, I'm the worst. Like I always say, please don't ask me to speculate because someone's going to believe me, lose money, and then get angry at me. and I never like that. So, but I think I think we know what the NFC West looks like in certain places. We know how good the 49ers are going to be, right? Again, aside from they have to remain healthy, and that's the case with every team. We know what the Rams are going to be. And I think, again, the two wild cards in this is because of the change in Seattle and because you've got another program down in Arizona that's also kind of finding its way and in a new area. It's one of those things. You don't have to. You want to win the division. You want to be division champ. You just want to be good enough in the division to get to the tournament, right? So the Seahawks, I think everyone is looking up at the 49ers right now, and I don't say it to be disrespectful to anybody. They're a heck of a program. They've got pelts on the wall. They've got a tremendous coaching staff. And I think right now, doing enough within the division to get yourself in the tournament is what matters. The Rams are going to ride on, really, to me, the health of their quarterback and and it's going to be about the quarterback. And we still know he's one of the best in the NFL for sure.
Hey, Scott, we've seen wide receiver contracts just explode, right? And we're even talking about Jordan Love possibly after one good year being the highest paid quarterback in the game. How tough are the quarterback and wide receiver contracts going to make it for executives to create these teams that are championship worthy?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a great topic because I think we've seen, again, now I'm an old man. I was in the NFL when the whole salary cap started and that collective bargaining agreement came, and we have seen different cycles, right? The quarterbacks have always been high, but we've seen different cycles. The wide receivers are high now. There was a time where running back contracts were very high, and the last couple of years everyone's been complaining about how underpaid running backs are. There was a time when tackles were the people that were paid, and then all of a sudden it became the guards were being paid because people were more concerned about the depth of the pocket than the width of the pocket. And then it used to be corner. Then all of a sudden, remember when safety contracts exploded, but they've kind of dwindled. I think what happens is anytime that we see the cap has gone up significantly, and anytime that we see numbers start to get what appears to be out of alignment, there is something happening with the wide receiver position right now. But I think what will happen is that there will be receivers that are paid, and over time, teams will readjust what they believe their value is. And, we've got a great quarterback. I'll take it for instance. When we were with the Patriots, we did not have to put as much money into the wide receiver position consistently because we had a really good quarterback that was helping us develop wide receivers. So there's going to be some of those contracts that impact. But, again, what's happening right now, we look at these numbers and everyone's, oh, my gosh, they're whatever $1 million average, the top 10 contracts. Well, who would have thought that the middle quarterback contract in the NFL for a starter was going to be at the $40 million mark a couple of years ago? So it's kind of like that effect of all, high tides raise all boats. So, Michael, I think part of what's happening here is we're seeing all the boats get raised right now. That's why I always think you shouldn't necessarily look at the number or the dollar figure that a player is making or a position is making. Look what the relative ratio it is or the percentage of it is towards your cap that year. I hope I'm making sense when I say that.
Are we, do you think, reaching a point? I ask this every single time, and the answer is always no, we haven't reached the point. But do you think we're reaching a point with quarterback contracts where teams are going to hesitate? I mean, I think of the three that are staring down extensions right now with Jordan Love, Tua, Dak. And on paper, Dak's done the most, but you have no idea if they're going to extend him with the other pieces that they have to pay. Tua has plenty of question marks, but also hugely important to that offense. And then you've got Jordan, who was really solid last year, seemingly will get an extension, but you still aren't quite sure if he's the guy. I feel like any of these guys could reset the market, and none, would I say, are the best quarterback in football. Do you think we're reaching that point with quarterback contracts at all?
Unfortunately, I'm going to give you a boring answer and say no. Because
it's a fair answer.
It's still, Stacey, it's still the most important position on the field. And if you don't have one of those, right, you're part of doing contracts, and agents know this when they're negotiating against you. Part of doing contracts is, what is your scenario if you don't have player X? You can say, well, I'm not going to pay, Dak Prescott. Okay, so what's your alternative? And that was and I remember those conversations early in my career when the salary cap first started, and it was a great internal conversation. Okay, what's your alternative? And inevitably, someone would throw a name out there, and then, okay, let's talk about that. Is that really how we want to live? Now, does Dak Prescott? The market gets reset every year, and again, these contracts look to the fan, they look crazy, but the market is what the market. It is what it is. And if you're not going to jump into that market, and you could say, I remember, again, I go back to my time in the Kansas City Chiefs when Matt Castle, who became a Pro Bowl quarterback for us. At the time, we made him what was the 15th highest paid contract, but it was a $60 million deal, over, I think, 6 years, $10 million a year. That put him, at the time that he signed that contract, as the 8th highest paid quarterback in the National Football League. If I didn't pay that contract, we were going to be playing with Brody Croyle, and we wanted to play with Matt Castle more than we wanted to play with Brody Croyle. A year later, that contract that everyone was in such a fuss about, Matt Castle was a year later the 16th or 17th highest paid quarterback in the National Football League. So these numbers keep going up as a reaction to what the overall salary cap is. And again, life in this game is about alternatives. You may not want to pay Dak Prescott a certain amount of money. You may not want to pay Jordan Love a certain amount of money, but you know what? Someone else is going to. If you don't, someone else is going to. And if someone else does, what are you going to play with?
He is NFL Network Scott Pioli, kind enough to join us. Scott, thank you for being so generous with your time. We've enjoyed this conversation.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, and enjoy the weather in Seattle. I bet you it's a lot nicer than it is some of those places in the South, I bet.
It's beautiful today. Thanks, Scott. Thank you.
Take care.
Let's get to 4 Down territory.
This is 4 Down territory, going inside the game with former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
First down, you finally had a chance to watch some film on Connor Williams. What are your thoughts?
Connor Williams. So I watched him last year. Excuse me. And he was with the Miami Dolphins. He suffered an ACL injury in Week 14. But he mostly plays center for these guys. Now, I don't think he's brought here to play center. I think Nick Harris and Oluwatimi are going to battle that thing out. He's here for the tackle positions. That leads me to believe that the health of one tackle just might not be as certain as we thought it would. But he's good, man. He's good at getting on that second level. He understands that I don't have to necessarily run over somebody on that second level. Once I get to these backers and even the third level to these safeties and corners, I just need to get in their way. Very long arms. He is 6'5", 320-something pounds. And when you watch him move, you're impressed by it. Something that most of these offensive linemen can do with the Seahawks is play multiple positions. So if something were to happen, they do sign Connor Williams and he needs to play center, he can play center, play tackle, he can play tackle. He's very versatile. So I'm interested to see what they do with this young man if they do sign him. If they do sign him, then you got a guy who can play multiple positions, but a good, solid offensive lineman. I like him.
Second down. Why do you think teams might be hesitant to give access to documentaries like Netflix's Quarterback and Receiver?
Well, this isn't the main point, but they spill a lot of tea. Like we talked about Devontae Adams and how he didn't like the situation over there with the Vegas Raiders because of what we saw and heard on the receiver. But now I'm going to shift it to Amon-Ra St. Brown. The Lions did not disclose that my man had an oblique injury. You got to report that. The reason why you have to report it is because, it affects gambling, right? You got to have all the information you can so people can gamble. I believe you started having to have injury reports in 1947 was the first year you had to do it. The Lions did not report that he had an oblique injury. On Netflix, the receiver, he says, out of a scale of 1 to 10, how much does it hurt? He says a 9. If something's hurting at a 9, you got to let the league know that my man is hurt. So they're just spilling information, right? Or at least they're going to limit their access, I think, man, because you got 2 situations already. You got Devontae stirring stuff up. You got the Lions not reporting injuries. I'm sure teams are looking at this whole situation and being like, we got to keep stuff in-house because this happens on a regular. People get hurt all the time. I believe Sherman was hurt at one point in his career, didn't report it. I think the Seahawks got fined for that too. It happens all the time. Teams get fined for not reporting injuries, but when you let documentaries happen like this, man, they get a full access to what's going on there. So I don't know. Maybe they limit them, maybe they don't, but this is something they're talking about.
It's kind of like Hard Knocks. We always hear that argument of like how when people were really hoping the Seahawks would be able to do it, they never, I don't think, missed 2 years in a row or had the qualifications to do it, but like I'm sure Pete Carroll would never want that.
No, heck no.
You know. Third down. New list. Who dis?
All right, so there's a new list out. It is list season, man. If y'all don't know about the list season, get to know it because that means that it's definitely summertime. But CBS Sports put out something called the All-Rookie Team, and the Seahawks are represented 2 times. Obviously, Byron Murphy, I feel like you're going to go with him. The defensive tackle, I believe he's going to start. He's going to do some great things. But the next guy they threw out there was Christian Haynes. Christian Haynes from Connecticut. He should be playing some guard this year. Personally, I didn't expect him to start. I don't even know if they expect him to start, but I think you're going to see him at some point in the season. So, no, there's some rookies getting some love because we got that top 100 list so far. How many guys ready? Julian Love so far, DK Metcalf, Reek. And then we're expecting Devin Witherspoon to be somewhere. I'm guessing somewhere in like the 40s maybe. We shall see. But no, whenever you can give a Seahawk some love, you go ahead and do that. I saw this list and knew for sure Byron Murphy was going to be a part of it, but didn't expect Christian Haynes to be on this list. So good for him. Let's get training camp going. We'll be there tomorrow. Let's see what these guys look like.
4th down. Who's your pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year? I'm actually very curious.
You know who it ain't going to be?
Caleb?
No, it ain't going to be Caleb.
Come on,
It's not going to
man.
be Caleb. I'm telling you. It ain't even going to be Jaden Daniels. It's going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. He's going to get so many targets over there with the Arizona Cardinals. It's going to be ridiculous. I was looking to see what are the best rookie seasons we've seen out of a receiver. We just saw it last year. Puka Nacua, 1,486 yards, and he had 6 touchdowns. I don't think he's going to do that. I think he'll be around 1,200 to 1,100 yards. But it's going to be Marvin Harrison, man. I think everything that I'm reading and seeing out of Arizona is that he's better than what they thought he was going to be. We know that he's a technician. He's a route runner. He's got the pedigree. I think he has a chance to transform that offense over there. I didn't want to buy into the Arizona Cardinals being good because then I go, man, we're fighting for second place, fighting for third place in this division. But it's looking good, man. And I think Marvin Harrison is going to be just fine over there. I really like their receiving core. Michael Wilson, I've talked about him already, the kid out of Stanford, man out of Stanford who's good. And then Terry McBride out of Colorado State. If Kyler Murray can stay healthy and James Conner can put together another 1,000-yard season, man, I'm looking at the offense and saying they got a shot. So, yeah, it's not Caleb. It's not Jaden. It is Marvin Harrison Jr. Go get it.
I feel like we were all talking about Marvin Harrison Jr., and we all knew that he'd likely go to Arizona, and if he didn't, then he'd go to San Diego. Goes to Arizona, and then, it just stopped. It's just the focus just stopped because I think outside of, I'm sure, Arizona, there's so little faith that the Cardinals will do much of anything. They're still kind of like a sneaky pick for a surprise team, though not a contending team.
Everybody likes him. They're the team you can't sleep on, Especially, say what you want about Kyler Murray. He can play some football. All right, he can do some things that a lot of quarterbacks can't do in this league. And when you have a franchise-type quarterback, you're going to have a chance. Now he's got a number 1 receiver. I mean, it's gonna be tough over there.
All right, you are listening to Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app. Paul Feinbaum just won't let it go. That's next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
Ty France has been placed on outright waivers. He was a guy who was an all-star a couple of years ago. We'll see what happens with him. A team can claim him off of waivers. They would be on the hook for what he's owed. He's not picked up. He can be outrighted to AAA. Now he's got enough service time where he can reject that and say, no, I'm going to be a free agent. We'll see what happens.
We've kind of talked about, well, maybe the guys in the clubhouse aren't going to like that. They're professionals. They understand how this game goes and how difficult it is.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
Do you have a car you're thinking of selling? You want to get the most money for it, but you probably don't want to deal with the hassle of selling it yourself. Meeting some stranger in a store parking lot after work so they can test drive your car and negotiate on a price? No, thank you. So here's why you should sell your vehicle to my friends at Wayscar Ford in Auburn. They have a program that pays top dollar for your vehicle up front, but it gets even better after that. Because when Wayscar Ford resells your old car, they split the profit 50-50 with you. Why? The money they save on auction buy fees, transportation costs, and travel expenses is what allows them to offer this. They'd much rather split that money with a customer than outside services. But are they going to offer you less? No. In fact, they encourage you to shop and compare. But in virtually every case, Wayscar Ford has been able to match or beat competitor offers. So if you're looking to sell your car, make sure you do it at Wayscar Ford in Auburn and get paid twice for it.
If your home has air conditioning, congratulations, because it looks like this summer is going to be a scorcher. But to make sure your AC system is working at its best, Deere Services is offering an inspection and tune-up with a no-breakdown guarantee and no service fee for just $49, a $129 value. Assure yourself of a comfortable, cool summer. Visit DEARservices.net, make an appointment, and we'll be there within 3 hours or give you a $100 credit. Deere Services, there when you need us most.
July is Vehicle Theft Prevention Month. The Puget Sound Auto Theft Task Force, in cooperation with the International Auto Theft Investigators Association, asks you to help prevent vehicle theft and stop auto fraud. Lock your doors, use anti-theft devices, and don't leave titles or important documents in your vehicle. Install immobilization devices such as ignition or fuel disablers. Never leave keys or fobs in your vehicle, and never leave your vehicle running unattended. Paid for by the Washington Auto Theft Prevention Authority.
At Buc-ee's, we'll keep you ready for summertime. From factory maintenance, AC, brakes, tune-ups, to oil changes, wiper blades, and tire rotation. It's Buc-ee's Complete Auto Repair. Carefree summer driving. No appointment needed and financing's available. Check Buc-ee's.com for the Buc-ee's near you.
Want to listen to Seattle sports on your smart speaker?
Hey, smart speaker, play Seattle sports.
This message is powered by the EQC Sportsbook at Emerald Queen Casino. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
The biggest scuba sale in America starts Thursday at Underwater Sports in North Seattle. Clearance prices on masks, regulators, computers, fins, tanks, BCs, free photo and video seminars, free fitting, and incredible savings on a custom-fit dry suit. Learn to scuba dive. Big savings on beginner classes. Underwater Sports' 47th Annual Divers Fair starts this Thursday at the North Seattle Underwater Sports Store, 107th and Aurora Avenue North. Don't miss the biggest scuba sale in America.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
I'm Bradley Johnson with 1-800-DUI-AWAY, and I want to talk to you about the importance of when you hire a lawyer. Some people delay, and that's a mistake. Here's why. When you go before the judge at your first appearance, bail is usually set.
Order in the court.
It may be the only chance you have to address that bail. You're going to want aggressive counsel, arguing for the lowest amount possible, or release with no bail at all. You want someone who knows you, a private lawyer who's going to fight. 1-800-DUI-AWAY. If your bail is set too high, you may be stuck in jail, or you may have to pay an expensive bail bondsman. When you're out, you need a trustworthy lawyer that can help put this whole ordeal behind you. Call 1-800-DUI-AWAY or go to 1-800-DUI-AWAY.com to schedule your free consultation for any criminal offense. You wouldn't go into surgery without a doctor. Scalpel. So don't go without 1-800-DUI-AWAY.
1-800-DUI-AWAY! Hey, it's Dave Wyman speaking to those who have recently been diagnosed with prostate cancer. It's important to know you have several options for treatment. I'm here with Dr. Meyer, medical director of the Swedish Radiosurgery Center, to talk about one of the best and technologically advanced treatment options, CyberKnife. Dr. Meyer, why is CyberKnife one of the best procedures to treat prostate cancer?
Well, treatment for prostate cancer can affect men's quality of life. It can affect their romantic life. It can affect their urine and bowel function. And the CyberKnife does the best job of preserving that function while having excellent cancer control rates.
What do your patients think of the CyberKnife treatment experience?
Well, at the Swedish CyberKnife, our patients are really satisfied with the experience. They report very few side effects, and we are seeing excellent cancer control 10 years later.
To learn more about CyberKnife for prostate cancer, go to swedish.org/CyberKnifeProstate or call 206-320-7187. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife.
This is The Timeline
with Bump and Stacy.
Brought to you by 1-800-DUI-AWAY.
What Sean McVay had to say about Mike McDonald. Interesting stuff coming your way in about 15 minutes. Before we get to it, let's head to the timeline, finding the top stories you're going to see on your own timeline. Paul Feinbaum once again will not let something go. Continues his feud, in this case, with going after USC and head coach Lincoln Riley. He's now come up with a wild solution, I love this, to getting the Trojans back to prominence. Take a listen.
Instead of harping on Lincoln Riley, I've decided to come up with a solution. I thought about this the other day. Okay, maybe he does well, maybe he doesn't. But the answer is really moving forward. And I believe the answer after this season is Deion Sanders. He's going to be tired of Colorado because, quite frankly, it's not prime time. He's done well as he can with his son and Travis Hunter and all the Stephen A's and Shannon Sharp appearances. But that's going to dry up this year because they're not going to be that great. But you put Prime in Tinseltown, and I think you have one of the great combinations in history.
Now, first of all, any immediate response you have to the idea that, well, I think that, you just take someone who's a showstopper, a big name, Deion Sanders, and put him at USC, and that would take the Trojans back to prominence.
I'm actually not mad at that. I think I grew up in L.A., and L.A. is all about the glitz, the glamours, the big names. Who are you? Where you're from? And the last time the USC sidelines were really rocking was when Pete Carroll was there because he knew that and accepted that. I'm not saying Lincoln Riley should be fired and get him up out of there. I think you got to see what he does without a Heisman Trophy quarterback and see if he can fix that defense who wasn't very good last year. If Deion Sanders were available, like if just the stars aligned and Deion was available or interested and Lincoln Riley wasn't there, he was elsewhere, I think you naturally would look at Deion Sanders. He is exactly what L.A. is, prime time. I'm not mad at that. And it's about recruiting. We know that Deion Sanders can recruit and he hits that portal tough. It makes sense to me. I just don't like calling for a man's job.
Is it philosophically consistent that Paul Feinbaum, just a week ago at SEC Media Days, also said Colorado isn't important in college football?
Are they?
Well, he said, I know the media loves this story and we fall over ourselves, but Colorado isn't important in college football. Deion Sanders is. He's a standalone person, one of the most charismatic coaches we have, but Colorado is nothing. They don't matter. They're irrelevant in the big picture of college football.
They were important for 3 or 4 weeks. Everyone wanted to see what Deion was going to do. The spring game was sold out. There was some hype around it, but Deion realized, I can get all these skill players, but if I don't have big boys to protect my quarterback and get after the quarterback, it's a no-go. So right now, no, it's not the same. I'm not as hyped to see Colorado as I was last year. No, I mean, I'm going to tune in and watch their games. To say they're completely irrelevant, I think is false. Do they have the same hype they had coming into last year? No, they don't. They still got to go out. They got to go out and win some more games. What they win? 4 last year? Start off 3-0 or something like that and win one more game after that? So, no, there's some truth. It's just, you just feel the hate in his blood for the West, though. It's just the way that he says it. If he had a different delivery, I think more people, at least out here, would kind of, gravitate towards it a little bit, but just the way that he says things, it just turns people off.
It's dismissive. It's truly, I think he sees a program like Tennessee as being more relevant than a program like USC. Neither has won a national championship anytime recently. You know what I mean? Both have been especially prominent schools. Both have put out especially prominent players. But it's purely subjective opinion to him that one school clearly matters more than the other. USC is one of the most recognizable programs in college football.
That's what
it doesn't matter that they're not performing.
As much as he leans on the tradition of the SEC, the tradition of USC is nuts. He must have forgot all the Heisman Trophy winners that have gone through there. He just don't like the West. That's all it is.
Truly, that's all it is.
Stay down south. It's all good.
Yeah, just say what you really feel. Say what you mean, Paul. Adam Schefter took matters into his own hands after his flight from Detroit to New York City was canceled multiple times as the result of a Microsoft outage. So here's what he did.
Before they canceled the flight at 1 in the morning, it looked like a nightclub. Everybody out trying to get an Uber or a Lyft or a cab, whatever it is. Got back to the hotel 2:30 in the morning. Booked for another flight today that was canceled, so I hired a cab to drive us back to New York. We are right now in Pennsylvania. We are 4 hours out.
Hey, way to figure it out. Way to figure it out, Shefty.
Wait, my wife is type 1 diabetic, so she had insulin for 1 day.
Oh, no.
So I had to get her back. And these airlines, zero honesty, zero transparency. And what's going on is a travesty.
Okay, so I will actually kind of second that what's going on with some of these airlines right now is absolutely insane. And Delta especially is in some kind of issue with, I don't know if there was a separate data breach or something else going on, but there are so many Delta flights that have been canceled and people have been stranded at the airport for days.
Say what you want about Southwest. Didn't affect them at all. Southwest was doing it, baby. I looked up how long it takes to go from Detroit to New York. 9 hours and 25 minutes. That's without traffic.
Yep.
So, my man, that is a hefty little bill, but something tells me ESPN's going to take care of that for him, and he just got some brownie points for wifey, man, from wifey. That's what's up. You need those.
So my friend is in the Dominican. They went there for a wedding. These are her 2 options for getting back. Dang. They're stranded there, okay? So they can continue to pay a ton of money to stay at this really nice resort, or they can do one of these 2 things. They can pay $1,500 one way to get back to Seattle, or she's going to hate me for talking about this, but it's relevant. Or they can take a 24-hour trip with a 13-hour layover. Like, those are the solutions that people have right now. That's insane.
I hope you got that $1,500. And that's a head? $1,500 a piece?
A piece, one way.
Gracious.
And there are people looking at those options, and that's the only option they have.
Or just,
not those specific ones, but they're stuck.
Or just stay in the Dominican for another week. I mean, it's not that expensive in the Dominican. You know, you might be
this
able to chill
resort's
for a
pretty
little bit.
expensive, probably.
Hey, go get your Airbnb in the hood.
Look, I don't think that Adam Schefter went over the top, is what I'm saying. There are a lot of people that have had like no options, and so a 9.5-hour Uber ride seems ridiculous. But he has the money, and he probably didn't have the option.
Man, it's like $100 to get from Seattle to Monroe on a Saturday night.
I tried to punch in Detroit International Airport and like the ESPN studios in New York City on Uber just to see like what this man is probably paying, and it wouldn't even let me do it. Like it was like there are no rides in this area. So like, did he have to use some kind of special Uber to book this ride? Because it's basically like which Uber driver out there is willing to take on this ride.
Yeah.
Or he just went old school and got a taxi and just said,
maybe
run it.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, I thought I had a question from a listener on that one. Last story. In a surprise turn, TNT has matched Amazon's offer for the NBAC broadcast package. The league could still pick Amazon's offer, which would then complicate things. Warner Bros. Discovery would likely sue the NBA to enforce terms of their deal. This is one of the biggest non-spotlighted stories happening right now in sports.
My question is, if TNT gets it done, Chuck, are you coming back?
Please do.
He's
Chuck,
got it.
We need you. We need you to come back, Chuck. If TNT gets this done, Charles Barkley needs to be back. That crew needs to stay together as long as they can walk and talk. That is the greatest thing on TV other than the actual sport that they're covering, or actually football. You know, football is king. But this is it. If I'm watching football on Sundays, I'm not even watching the basketball game they were covering.
Yes.
I'm just watching them.
It's such good chemistry. There are so many moments where you start laughing because they lose it and start laughing with each other, or like Shaq starts breaking down and can't help laughing. They also in terms of players turned broadcasters, Shaq and Chuck are 2 of the absolute best because they're both incredibly authentic on air, and they don't hesitate. Like, for instance, I know this is dark, but following the passing of Kobe Bryant, when Shaq came on air and talked about some of his regrets with that friendship, like that is a very authentic, vulnerable moment where you're not afraid to paint yourself as maybe the bad guy in a friendship or things that you still regret. This is amazing. That's an amazing story to tell.
They're real, man. And it's hard to do that. Granted, they are some of the best to ever do their job, play basketball, right? So rules are different for them. But when you work for these networks, like, you got to be polished up a bit. You can't just say everything that you want, how you want to say it. But I think guys like Chuck and Shaq and Kenny allow for networks to loosen up a little bit with when they let their analysts go out and do their thing, man. So it's important that they stay on the air, they stay with TNT. I hope they get this done, and let's get Chuck back.
Joe Burrow's got a new look, and I don't know how popular it is. That's coming up in our next hour. When we look at the NFL, we're also going to talk about pressure facing the Mariners at the trade deadline, go over Hype Train. Before we get to that, though, what Sean McVay had to say about Mike McDonald. That's next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
Jeff Passan, are they still definitively buyers here at the deadline?
It's the Mariners' duty at this point to add to this pitching staff, because if the offense is even average, you have a team that not only can win the American League West, but can go very deep into the playoffs. I would not let a bad offensive stretch torpedo what still could be a very memorable season.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Roof now, pay later. Hi, I'm Sam Thomason, owner of State Roofing.
Take advantage of our zero down, zero payments, and zero interest for up to a year. We've partnered with leading lenders to make the replacement or repair of your roof affordable. Flexible financing options are available to take the worry out of an unexpected expense. Call us today at 866-ROOF-ROOF to schedule a free no-obligation estimate or visit us at stateroofing.com. That's stateroofing.com.
State Roofing, the last roof you'll ever need.
It's Cookies Country Chicken pregame fry time reminder. Headed to the ball game? Come on down to Cookies in Pioneer Square for some real good chicken and tell them,
make it spicy.
Fresh fried chicken at Cookies. CookiesCountryChicken.com.
The 2024 Seahawks season is almost here. Get fitted for game days with jerseys, caps, and tees, including the 2024 Training Camp Collection. Visit the Seahawks Pro Shop at the Landing in Renton and Lumen Field or online at Seahawks.com/Pro Shop.
Timmy, everybody. Great job. Next up for our 5th grade class recital, we have Samantha.
10 times better performance can make a big difference. Castrol Edge Motor Oil gives your engine 10 times better high-stress performance. Castrol Edge, better oil for maximum performance. Now through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart.
Claim based on sequence 9 test under high-load conditions versus API-SP test limits.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
I juggle a lot. And managing constipation with belly pain from my irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, with laxatives and fiber isn't enough. My doctor recommended a way to get ahead of it. Then I said yes to Linzess.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
Listen throughout the week to the Mariners Players Spotlight.
Give props to Jerry and Justin. They did a great job bringing in these good group of guys.
Presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
Did you know there's a revolutionary pediatric cancer treatment called immunotherapy going on at Seattle Children's Hospital? Kids with cancer know that true strength comes from within. And with immunotherapy, they can fight cancer from the inside out with their own superpower, their immune systems. However, pediatric cancer research and trials are severely underfunded. G. Scott here asking you to join the fight for all kidkind. Next time you're at Safeway checkout, please choose to make a donation. Thank you for becoming an immuno hero.
We all recognize that we have to work as a team and really be intentional in how we treat our customers and how we treat each other.
Working together. Lee Johnson employees understand what it takes to fulfill the purpose of their day.
I'm no more important than a salesperson. Even Randy. Randy is no more important than a salesperson, and Randy makes you know that every single day. You are valuable, that he couldn't do it without you. And I'm not saying we don't get frustrated. You try to remember that we are together. We are a team. Everyone respects everyone else's abilities and talent. And without that thought process, you're sunk. And gosh, why wouldn't you want to work for a company that instills that in you? Right?
The LJ way is The Lee Johnson Auto family.
Experience an unforgettable night of music as Gavin DeGraw and Colby Calais grace the stage at the Emerald Queen Casino Event Center, Friday, August 2nd. Gavin DeGraw's soulful voice and Colby Calais' Grammy-winning melodies. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. Don't miss your chance to see Gavin DeGraw and Colby Calais live in concert August 2nd at the Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. 21 and older. Need gambling help? Call 800-547-6133 or visit emeraldqueen.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
We've heard plenty of comparisons between Sean McVay and new Seahawks head coach Mike Macdonald. That Mike Macdonald, for instance, is the defensive Sean McVay. And I get it. I mean, they're both young head coaches taking over at a time when people are wondering, like, can this genius be enough to turn a team around? Sean McVay was finally asked about Mike Macdonald on the Athletic Football Show. Here's what he had to say about Macdonald coming to the NFC West.
You know what? I love it as a competitor, but the respect that I have for Macdonald, I'm like, damn.
Well, let's talk about that respect. Here's what he had to say about the Ravens' defense under Mike Macdonald.
Here's the thing I would say going into that game. I got a ton of respect for Mike and their coaching staff and those players that brought this stuff to life. What I think when you watch that team, there was a clear-cut identity. There was an understanding of the intent of what he was calling and how they could execute it. There was a great idea and understanding of how to utilize their personnel. I thought they rushed 4 as 1 as well as anybody. I mean, like, they had a great ability to be able to play off of one another. I thought Mike did a great job of mixing in pressures, understanding situations, understanding how to attack protections.
There's so much there to unpack. He says they had a purpose in everything they did. Is some of what Sean's talking about things that you've seen on tape too and have felt?
Yeah, and everything I've heard, it's everyone's echoing it, right?
Yeah.
You know what's funny about that? He has a lot of respect for him. He put up 410 yards against him still. Sean McVay, 282 through the air, 128 rushing. But he was, you can hear the frustration, though. Like, it was hard. I guess you look at the numbers and you say, yeah, we put up some numbers, but so did the Baltimore Ravens when it comes to their offense. But you hear the respect. And what I love is what he said, how to attack protections.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is he understands, like, look, are we going up against a 3-man slide? Are we going big on big? Like, what type of protection does the offense use in certain situations? And how can I influence them and confuse the offensive lineman?
Mm-hmm.
If you can do that, and it sounds like from the genius himself, McVay, that McDonald did a great job of doing that, you're going to give yourself an advantage. And then the other thing that stuck out is clear understanding of the communication and what they're trying to do. That means everybody is coached up. It means that you don't have 8 guys doing the right thing and 3 of them in la-la land, just not focused and locked in. So, no, I love it. But I looked up the stats and I had to giggle. I go, Sean McVay still put up 410 yards
Shut up, Sean.
on this defense.
Staying in the same vein, so some of your answers might be the same, but I wanted to stick with that idea of intention. I think a very simplistic view of football, which makes sense, is offense attacks, defense defends, and by virtue of that, defense is reactionary. Mm-hmm. But he talks about the intention behind so many of his calls.
I respect the coordinators the most, that you can see an intent behind what they're trying to get done, and I thought that showed up consistently on his tape.
Selfishly, I am excited that I get to watch.
Yeah, no, and I am too as a competitor, but it's going to be a great challenge, and shoot, he's got some pretty damn good players to work with in Seattle that I know there's some positive buzz coming out of there.
Yeah, offensive coordinators aren't the only ones who got to be smart, guys. You can also have really brilliant defenses, and defense seen as more physical, seen as more athletic, and people kind of strip the knowledge and the anticipation away from it as a result, but that's not what he's seeing. That's not what you've seen.
No, the intent. To me, that means that, again, everyone knows what they're doing, and there is a philosophy in how we're going to attack each team every single week. You don't change your defense. You don't just invent certain calls or whatnot, but you've taught your defense their fundamental rules. This is who we are. Mm-hmm. This is the language that we use. Now, because you know fundamentally who we are, I can manipulate what we want to do. We heard players talk about, look, anybody can blitz, anybody can drop into coverage. Why? Because you hear these key words and you know, all right, that's talking to me. This is talking to him. So he's found a way to connect all of the dots in a simple way, but then complicated when you're looking at it from the offensive side and saying, all right, is this guy going? Is that guy going? Who's dropping? And just forcing quarterbacks to have a pre-snap read, reading their drops, and believe in what they're seeing and let the football go. That's so hard to do, man. And sometimes I watch some defenses on film, and it's like high school defense, man. Too high, no moving in the box. I know exactly what you're in. Now we just have to go out there and execute. When you can have offenses thinking throughout the duration of the play until the ball is gone or handed off to someone else, it makes it tough. And that's what we expect out of Mike McDonald in this defense. And man, I know he coaches the Rams, but I love me some Sean McVay, man.
Too.
Just the way he talks about football, the passion that he has, the respect he has for the opponent. But he's also like, as a competitor, let's get it though. You know, I ain't scared of you. And I think that's what makes this division so competitive, man. Because now you have a great defensive mind, 2 defensive minds in the division now with Gannon over there with the Arizona Cardinals, 2 offensive minds. Going into the season, I think people are always going to look at the AFC North and say that's probably the toughest division. I think you can look at the NFC North at this point right now, too. We'll see what the Vikings or Bears look like.
Yep.
But don't sleep on the West, man. The West is looking tough.
Sean McVay says Seattle has a lot of talent for McDonald to work with, and I don't think that's just coach speak. I think that's a coach recognizing all the pieces that McDonald has, and I think, you know, from a more macro view looking in, I mean, we talked about Jeremy Fowler's article about all the top position rankings around the league, and his take on Wyman and Bob was, look, Seattle has a good roster, they just don't have elite talent. Well, you don't need elite talent to have a really good offense or defense. Sean McVay knows that. He knows that. I mean, he had Aaron Donald. That's elite talent. Yeah. He had a superstar. But he had a lot of other question marks. I mean, if you can name 5 Rams defenders from last year or the season prior, say them out loud. Not a lot of people could point to that defense and say, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. He had 1 or 2 pieces that were insane and then did a lot with good pieces.
Well, I also think that McVay understands what McDonald wants to do. So he's looking at the pieces over there and saying, he can do that with him. He can do that with this guy as well. McVay sees the game differently than everyone. Most great coordinators in the league are just special like that. The game's in slow motion for them. They can anticipate. They take the data that they received and get their players into certain positions. But the really good ones understand their players and their physicals, what they're good at and what they're not good at. So I think McVay is looking at the rookies that are coming in, the pieces that are already here, looking at what Mike McDonald did with Baltimore and saying, I can see him doing something like that over here. And that's encouraging to hear from one of the best offensive minds in the game.
What I need to know coming up in an hour, so you have plenty of time to get your questions in. But if you have some now, send them in. 866-979-3776. We've got the dugout at 1, so what I need to know coming your way an hour early at 12:45. We're also going to take a look around the NFL, so we will get back to football. Back to the Mariners, though. One MLB expert explains why Seattle has so much pressure to get something done at the deadline. That's next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
Gino, he's a guy that I think is probably the biggest question mark on this team for a lot of people nationally.
You know, this guy's been through it, man. What a weird career Gino has had. You start off as a starter, and then all of a sudden you're in a backup situation. I think he was just kind of accepting his situation. Now you see how he is. He's very assertive, and like he wants to be somebody, and he's probably at that point, I'm just going to go out there and let it rip. I'm not playing with something to lose. I'm playing with something to gain.
Streaming on your smart speaker.
Motorcycle riders, Bob Stelton here. I love this time of year. The weather's nice. I'm out on the bike as often as possible. And knock on wood, I've never been in an accident. But maybe you have. And if you have, you need to call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. First of all, your case evaluation is completely free. They don't get paid until you get paid. And they should be the first call you make after a motorcycle accident. And I'll tell you why. Because they fight for you, the motorcycle rider, and your family to get you the compensation you deserve. With over 20 years of experience, they're going to handle your case with the respect and dignity you deserve. The insurance company wants to get away with paying out the lowest settlement they can as quickly as they can. With the Law Tigers, you don't have to handle your motorcycle case alone. So why should you hire Law Tigers after an accident? They can help you get your motorcycle and gear repaired or replaced. Law Tigers knows how important your motorcycle is to you, so after you've been in an accident, give them a call at 1-800-LAW-TIGERS. They will get you the help that you need. Again, that's 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or lawtigers.com. The Law Tigers, Washington's motorcycle lawyers, Mateer Law Firm, LLC.
Sometimes even heroes need rescuing.
I'm a retired firefighter, 27 years.
Kurt had severe pain in his knees and his shoulder, which was keeping him from enjoying his well-deserved retirement.
Loved to ski, loved to fish, and couldn't even walk 18 holes.
That's why Kurt decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
He was just awesome. He goes, yeah, give me a shot. And he took care of me. He stemmed my knee and my shoulder.
And how are you feeling now?
I was pain-free in 12 weeks. I play golf now pain-free, and it's awesome.
So you'd recommend this treatment to others in your situation?
Absolutely. Yeah, Dr. Wagner's, he's had a couple people call me, and I recommended that they do it.
Before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
The biggest scuba sale in America starts Thursday at Underwater Sports in North Seattle. Incredible savings for 3 days only. Divers Fair only happens once each year at Underwater Sports, 107th and Aurora Avenue North.
Lexus is electrified, and the first ever RZ450E has the performance and range to get you where you need to go. With the exclusive Lexus Direct 4 all-wheel drive technology, Lexus of Bellevue has over 50 RZs available for immediate delivery with electrifying savings. Up to $18,500 lease cash on every RZ450E. Visit LexusofBellevue.com.
On approval of credit through LFS. Lease cash from Lexus available on select 2024 RZ styles. Must take delivery by July 31st, 2024. A documentary service fee up to $200 may be added to the purchase price or capitalized costs. See dealership for details.
RiversideRoofingLLC.com. Enter your address and receive a hassle-free quick quote on your roof replacement within seconds. Do it this summer and save time, money, and just get your project done. Go to RiversideRoofingLLC.com, the roofing company you can trust.
Are you looking for a construction loan to build your dream home? Are you a local builder needing a better financing option for your next spec project? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. Stop wasting time with local banks and credit unions and their endless guidelines. We're the experts for common sense residential construction loans. We lend our own money, we make our own decisions. And if your deal makes sense, we'll get it done fast with flexible terms. For homeowners, we advise you every step of the way with things like budget and timeline, ensuring the completion of your dream home. For builders, Legacy's not only your lender, we'll source your next deal, provide permitting services, and if you're short on equity, we'll invest alongside of you. Legacy Group Capital has lent more than $1 billion, helping over 130 local builders and hundreds of homeowners. We can help you.
Construction loans don't have to be hard. Borrow smart with a common sense construction loan from Legacy Group Capital. Visit LegacyG.com. LegacyG.com.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We can get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge, and we can take care of that free of charge. But if it is time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $79.99. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Jags have made Tyson Campbell the highest paid corner in NFL history with a 4-year, $76.5 million extension. That's $53.4 million in guarantees. The Seahawks are starting training camp tomorrow. Players reporting today. Bump and I will be live from Virginia Mason Athletic Center tomorrow morning at 10. The Mariners back at it today with a 6:40 p.m. game against the Angels.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. One MLB expert explains why the Mariners have so much pressure to get something done at the deadline. Now, if you think the Mariners should or shouldn't add at the deadline, go ahead and join this conversation on the Mac and Jack's text line, 866-979-3776. Normally, I push back against cross-sport comparisons, even though I make them all the time. This one I thought was interesting, though, Bump. Here's Joel Sherman. I know. Here's Joel Sherman explaining the Mariners' situation in football terms.
This is such an open road to the playoffs, right? The defending champion Rangers are down. The Astros were down. They have, to me, the equivalent of the great NFL quarterback on a rookie contract with their starting pitching. Right? The only guy who's paid is Luis Castillo, who's on a team-friendly deal paid. Everyone else is arbitration eligible or next, and they have the second-best starting pitcher ERA in the sport. You've got to be able to put some bats around that and capitalize on it, and I think few people have more pressure on them than their front office to go get a bat or two between now and July 30th at 6 p.m.
The Mariners have the equivalent of a star quarterback on a rookie deal with the pitching staff, so you've got pressure to get something done at the deadline, says Joel. What do you think about that?
Nah, punt on the season. It's over. Why invest on a team that just doesn't have it? Thank you, Joel. Goodness gracious. Thank you so much for saying it and putting it in those terms. Maybe some people will understand it more. Yeah, there's pressure. The only question I have is, does management feel that pressure? Do they even care about the pressure? That's what some people are hot about. Is like, it doesn't matter. Management isn't going to do anything to support this all-star rookie quarterback on a rookie deal. No, we shall see. But I think that's the perfect way to describe this situation.
Yeah.
And it's not even as if like you need to acquire a bunch of Pro Bowlers. You just acquire some dang good football players or baseball players.
Yeah.
We're talking baseball here. Some dang good players, and that will enhance your quarterback play. That's all we're asking at this point.
I actually really like Joel's comparison. The only kind of asterisk that I'll add to it is, please do not take this to mean that like a rookie quarterback, you have him for 4 years plus a fifth-year option if it's a first rounder.
Thank you.
This is not a rotation that you are guaranteed to have in its current form, fully healthy, nor performing at the level that it is right now. Your starters aren't necessarily leaving next year, but you have a really good, healthy group that's performing. Everyone's hitting. No one's having a down year. It's all working out.
Yeah.
So the one thing I'd not push back on, but kind of add is it's not a perfect comparison because you have less time than you think to take advantage of it compared to a rookie quarterback.
Facts. And you're depending on about 5 pieces and not just one.
Yes.
Where you combine those pieces,
exactly.
then you have that one quarterback. But I think it's important that you hear examples or comparisons like that, because maybe it'll tap in to something else from someone who's listening right now who doesn't really understand or agree with the perspective. Even if you don't agree with it, I think it's always nice to hear the other side. You know, Stacey, I'll watch CNN and I'll watch Fox because I want to see what both sides are talking about. That's all we're saying here.
Joel continues explaining what the Mariners need to do at the deadline.
If not now, when? Again, they've never played in the World Series. They've been in the world, these are expanded playoffs. They've been in it once in over 2 decades. I mean, at some point, you can't take all the prospects with you. You can't do a victory lap of where you rank in Baseball America's rankings. I'll go further. Besides the starting pitching, what more would you want than well above average center fielder and a well above average catcher, which they developed in Rodriguez and Raleigh? It feels like this is the kind of stuff to build around. Now, J-Rod has had a bad year for his talent level. To your point, can he turn it on? But Steve, I think even if he does turn it on, they need more bats.
Curtis, do you remember what it was Bob Nightingale said with us when it came to prospects and parades? And
oh, yeah.
What was it? It was a bar.
He said, would you rather be on the cover of Baseball America with the top farm system or on the cover of Sports Illustrated celebrating a World Series?
Bump, how about you?
World Series for 500, Stacey.
Exactly. Correct answer.
For sure.
Because, I mean, I'm going back to what you said earlier about culture, which I thought was such a brilliant point. You don't just snap your fingers and turn into a winning culture. you produce that over time. That comes with playoff appearances. It comes with changing the attitude around how you approach the season. Talk a bit more about what you were seeing there and what you were pushing back against. Like, what got you so fired up?
It was just how it seems like a lot of people don't understand like the journey in becoming a champion, or the journey to slowly transforming your organization and your culture. It doesn't just happen overnight. It doesn't just happen overnight. It takes failures. It takes success. It takes risks. It takes jumping on opportunities and saying, let's go for it. It takes being cautious as well. And I think we've seen the cautious. I think we've seen the we're not going to really invest in this team. Let's try to make the most of what we got. And I was just saying, look, if you are first in your division, tied for first, you should obviously point out all the weaknesses that are going on, but you have those weaknesses and you're still in the fight. So what are you going to do to help change the way that you are perceived? You've been to the playoffs, a couple of years ago. If you make the playoffs this year, you're moving in the right direction. If you just punt on the season, you're doing what you do every single year. Now, where they are now is directly coordinated to what they didn't do during the offseason. For sure, I understand that. We're not neglecting that. But those moves were good enough to get them here. Combined with what the Astros did this year, the horrible start that they had, this is an opportunity. So it doesn't just happen overnight. That was my thing. And people, if you want to give up on a team that's in first place right now, then that mentality is not going to take you anywhere. I'm not saying sell a farm, get a rental bag. No, I'm saying give them something to work with, because the arms and the mount have shown you that they're good enough to keep you in the fight.
I mean, very, very related, and that may well be your answer. But what about people who say, I don't want to risk the future and trade away prospects who could work and would be cheap for bats that aren't guaranteed and for a lineup that won't be made whole with 2 bats?
Say it again.
Like, what would you say to people who say, I don't want to sacrifice the future, give up all these prospects, when adding 2 bats doesn't make this offense great?
It doesn't make them great, but it can make them better. It can make them better. It's almost like people want a guaranteed. They want a guarantee. If we give up some of these prospects, we're going to make the playoffs. Nothing is guaranteed, but you must take some risk, especially if you're not willing to have the payroll that some of these other teams have. A risk for the Mariners would be getting rid of some of these prospects and getting just an above-average bat or 2 to help out, hoping that Julio turns it on and balls out, hoping that Cal continues to hit the way he does in these clutch situations and that someone else starts to pick it up. We haven't even talked about Robles yet. Yeah, he had that throwing error during the game. Understand that. He's playing decent baseball right now. It's like you have to give support, and a win for this team would be to get into the playoffs. That's all I'm asking for at this point. And you know why? Because you build off of that. Last year, they jacked up and didn't build off of getting to the playoffs. You get to it again, build off of that, and maybe some free agents want to come over here because they see what you're doing and saying, okay, Seattle, I see what you're doing. Let me go ahead and join the squad.
Brad in Seattle. You know who else aren't guaranteed? Prospects.
Facts.
That's a very good point, Brad. And again, it's easy to see the possibilities when you haven't seen the outcome of something. When you've seen the outcome, all of a sudden it puts that thought process into question. And what I mean by that, because it sounds convoluted, is if I say trade Harry Ford, trade some of these other pieces, you're going to say, no, I'm so excited about what they could become. He's one of our top prospects. But if I say, well, what about Evan White and Kyle Lewis? You'd go, oh, well, they didn't work out. They were injured. They were hurt.
Yeah.
We had to give Kelnick to the Braves to get them to take Evan White's contract, essentially. Like, it is easier for you to write that off and to see them as not working once you know what happened. Now, the prospects that Seattle has, I don't think anyone is advocating for them to move on from all these guys.
No, not all of them.
But it's important to look at that some of these bats that are really, really exciting aren't debuting for a couple years. So this isn't something where what you have with your starting rotation is going to perfectly overlap with your prospects. I know we love the idea of, well, you can replenish this offense next year. These bats aren't coming up next year. Maybe 1, maybe 2, but Felnin, some of these guys are further away than that.
Yeah, being scared to deal some of these prospects. And I heard someone say, I was going back and forth with somebody. They said, essentially, be patient. Let the bats develop in our farm system, and they'll come up, and be patient. There's 2 problems with that. Who knows what the arms are going to be and if they're going to be here. Also, nothing is guaranteed, and you're asking a fan base that's been patient for 20-something years to continue to be patient when you are in first place right now, and all you need to do is stay in the fight, and you might get lucky, and you might do enough. The Astros might fall. Like, it just baffles me that you could be on someone's heels in a race, and there's 50 meters left in the race, and you're just going to stop. My brain does not work that way, and I don't think anyone in sports' brain should work that way. If your brain does work that way, then they shouldn't be in sports. And unfortunately, that's what it feels like upstairs.
Absolutely. Again, someone said kind of like they traded Ketel Marte. Then don't make any trades and never take any risks. You won't have to worry about losing anything, except for a chance at the playoffs this year. Again, you can look at every single Curtis. If I ask you to think of maybe a bad trade for another team, Yankees, Orioles, Rays, Blue Jays, Dodgers. I'm sure there are moves you can think of where you go, oh my God, what a dumb signing that team made. Did that keep them from trying to be competitive ever? I feel like sometimes we look back at moments in Mariners history and go, oh God, remember when we spent all this money on Robinson Cano and didn't get to a World Series? Let's never do that again.
Right. Probably the most obvious example in Major League Baseball right now of like one of those contending teams that made a bad trade and like blew up in their face was the Dodgers letting Yordan Alvarez go to the Houston Astros.
Wanted you to say, don't do it.
I knew where it was going.
I mean, but like that has
Still
not
hurts.
stopped the Dodgers at all from making
Thank you.
big trades.
Thank you.
Like they've not gotten gun shy at all. Like they make trades to go after some of the biggest names in baseball every single year, and because that one trade blew up in their face, like that doesn't stop them from making those moves. I like to think that a lot of Mariners fans are still scarred from the Mariners letting Tino Martinez go to the Yankees back in 1996, which was, we're coming up on 30 years of that.
Right.
And that
like if you
led
remember
to-
that trade, you need to, immediately.
You need to stretch.
You need to
is what
stretch. You need to get outside.
You're
like
old
some
now.
water.
you need to go buy some Tums.
Exactly. I feel like that trade has sort of made Mariners fans just so scared to do anything, especially with the Yankees of all teams. Like, oh, this Yankees team, you're just the farm system for them. It's like, well, that was one trade, and when was the last time the Yankees fleeced you? Like,
Yep.
it hasn't happened since.
Can't win $1 million playing little penny slots.
Right.
You can't.
I like this. 253. The people that don't want to trade prospects are worried about the 2028 Mariners. They should be worried about the 2024 Mariners.
That's what I'm saying. And the 2024 Mariners right now have a rotation that is leading the league in quality starts. You've lost 16 of those games. Imagine if you were averaging 4+ runs a game. Just imagine. Think of how many of those losses. Kirby's been credited with a loss and a couple quality starts. Like, imagine last night. You get 4 runs, you win.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what Stanek does. It doesn't matter what your bullpen does. Get more than 1 run.
Yep. And also, I mean, 254, us in Texas, huh? Brings up a good point. What are the Mariners good at drafting and developing?
What are the Mariners good at outside of drafting and
No,
developing?
what are they good at? What position are they good at drafting and developing? Pitching, right? So if we're looking at, I understand there's some arms in there when it comes to these prospects. There are some bats that people don't want to get rid of as well. It's like, look, you have to, there's give and take when it comes to trades and trying to build a team. You're not just going to be able to offer trash and get gold in this whole situation. There has to be not a fair trade, because someone always wins a trade. You always look at a trade and like, oh, well, that works for that team, that works for that team. It depends on your perspective, right? What means the Mariners have won a trade to me means that they just got a couple bats that they have control over for a couple years and can make this team 1 or 2 runs better. I'm not asking for a trade to happen to where the Mariners are automatic playoff bound and contenders, because I understand it doesn't work that way. And I also understand that the Mariners don't deal that way. I'm at the point where I'm just be a little better than yourself. Yourself is, you get fringe type of players. All right,
Yeah.
don't get a fringe. Get a little better than a fringe player and help these dudes out because of the situation that they're in. Again, if they were 10 games ahead, it'd be different. Be like, all right, now you got to go and swing for the fences. But no, I wouldn't recommend that right now. But I also wouldn't recommend just standing by and watching the Astros go and just rooting them on from behind and say, hey, go get it. No, you got to be competitive in this thing. That's all I'm asking. Make a competitive move and allow this team to continue to be competitive.
Do you think on Houston sports radio, they're like, man, that Mariners rotation, we just can't compete. We just can't compete. Like, these arms are going to get tired. Do you think that in Houston they're having conversations about how if this team gets to the playoffs, it's probably going to only win a wild card series?
Nah, they're saying, oh, we're back. We're back. Let's go. What else do we need? What else do we need? Let's go. Let's go to the store and buy something.
Yeah.
They're hyped.
Again, it's kind of, to make another cross-sport comparison, we talked a lot.
I thought you didn't do that, Stacey.
I know, but now I can't stop. We talked a lot, you and I, about the quarterback situation when it came to the Seahawks. And one of the things that we always said was, well, what are your realistic options? Yes, drafting Patrick Mahomes 2.0 would have been great. That is not and was not an option for Seattle at 16 this year. Finding a free agent outside of Kirk Cousins, who, took $100 million to go play with the Falcons, wasn't an option. So your realistic options were Geno, hang on to Drew, trades for someone like Sam Howell. Like, what are your realistic options, and did you make the best choice of those options? I feel like sometimes we aren't honest about our realistic options. The realistic options for the Mariners are, 1, give up on the season. Don't do anything. 2, trade prospects and try to add bats to see if you can make your offense just good enough. Average. C-. 3, again, stand pat, don't do anything except losing for this season because this offense isn't going to turn around. And then hope and pray that by the time your prospects come up, not only are they good, and not only do they very quickly acclimate to the league, but that your starting rotation is still just as good and healthy and whole. Those are your 3 choices.
Right.
Those are your 3 realistic choices.
You know what still has to happen if you punt on the season? That rotation still got to go out there and throw.
Right? I'd be so heated.
You're still putting them at risk every single day.
You don't get a rest
with no type of support. It's not like punt on the season. All right, Logan, George, you guys just chill for the rest of year 2. We're gonna just bring someone else in. Nah, it don't work like that. They're still gonna go out there and risk it all. So why not support them?
Exactly. I will just say I have not become accustomed to, nor do I enjoy the taste of losing. And maybe some people have. Because I think, to me, the idea of being like, forget it. Like, the idea of turning down your nose at a wild card series or an attempt to push past a wild card series when you've made the playoffs once. Seriously.
Who do you think you are?
Look, I'm pointing at myself, too. Like, I get it. Like, this isn't me coming in as a fan of another team looking down my nose at anything. This is me looking at myself, us looking at ourselves as Mariners fans going, hold up. Sorry. Who are we to look down our nose at an opportunity to get to the postseason and try to get something fun done?
Yeah.
Like, who?
Come on.
Who?
We're in the party.
Among us.
We're in the party.
Is cringing at the idea of a playoff appearance.
There's some who actually do that. I'm amazed. Text lines, you guys are awesome, man. The text lines have been on fire today. You guys have inspired a bunch of great conversation. Even the ones I don't agree with, I think y'all tripping. I still appreciate y'all engaging because this is interesting.
And the Mariners are going to kick off our first hype train, so let's head to the station now. According to Ryan Divish of the Seattle Times earlier this week, rather Sunday, Ty France was placed on outright waivers. Last night, Ryan reported that he was packing up his bag, saying goodbye to teammates. This is your hype train. Ty France will not be the only Mariners position player let go over the next week.
Man, you know what's crazy is that I see someone else going, and it's one of 2 guys, and they might have the same name. So I'm on this hype train. I'm on this hype train, man. I don't like calling for people's jobs, but man, there's some non-performance going on.
Okay. Bump hinting one of the Mitches are gone. Ty France will not be the only Mariners position player let go over the next week. Bump boarded the train. Curtis, or you?
Boy. If they do let go of one of the Mitches, they're eating a lot of cash, and that's something the Mariners just don't like to do. But at some point, you've got to look at these guys that are on your roster right now and think, are they going to be the guys that help us get there? And right now, both are a negative to what the Mariners are trying to do. I think of the 2, I think it's more likely that Mitch Haniger is gone because Garver at least can be your backup catcher in a pinch. So I will board this train.
Okay.
I think Mitch Haniger, I mean, same boat as Ty France, has accomplished a lot in a Mariners uniform, but at the end of the day, what can you do for me right now? And Mitch Haniger has not been himself for quite a while this season.
Let's take a Mariners break. Next Hype Train. The Olympics officially start on the 26th. Despite recent exhibition scares against South Sudan and Germany, Team USA men's basketball will win Olympic gold.
No doubt in my mind they're going to win the gold. They're going to win that thing, man. Have you seen LeBron lately? He's
LeBron?
47. He's 47 years old, and he's still playing like he's 25. He's 47.
Stop.
See, he's 39, I think, right?
No,
Yeah,
I like
joking,
bump doubling down on like LeBron.
joking.
No, keep letting it get older.
He is
LeBron
51
is
years old.
63 years old. LeBron was born in 1944, pre the end of World War II.
Yeah, LeBron is the way he's playing right now. He's extremely motivated, and he has the best supporting cast he's ever had in his life. Granted, the world has gotten better in basketball. It's not going to be as easy as it used to be, but the 52-year-old LeBron James is going to win a gold.
LeBron James, Vietnam War veteran, Curtis. Team USA men's basketball will win Olympic gold.
It's really hard to pick against them. I'm not going to, so I think they will win Olympic gold. So I'm boarding this train. I don't know if they get through the tournament unscathed, though. I think maybe in group play, they drop a game.
Yeah, they can lose one.
But I don't think they make it all the way to the gold medal game without losing one. So I think they still lose a game, but they win Olympic gold.
Okay, fair. Next Hype Train into the station. Everyone's questioning whether or not Mike McDonald is just going to be a little more serious than Pete Carroll, right? A little more hard-nosed. But I think we're going to get a similar vibe. Music will be played over the duration of Seahawks practice tomorrow. Are you boarding this Hype Train?
I feel like that's like a fundamental practice now at all football practices, even in high school. When I was head coach, we played music. When I was an offensive coordinator, we played music. It's almost like it's necessary. So McDonald just turned 37. He's getting older. He understands that there's a vibe that needs to be present at practice. So, yeah, they're playing music.
Music will be played over the duration of Seahawks practice. Still a familiar feeling there, despite Pete Carroll being gone. Curtis, are you boarding this Hype Train?
Now, from what I've been told, Mike McDonald practices last a lot longer than Pete Carroll's. So strap in if there is a lot of music. I think because of the length of McDonald's practice, I think there could be some gaps in sound. So I don't think music will be played over the duration of Seahawks practice starting tomorrow. I'm not boarding this train. I think there's going to be some quiet times.
People are just
gotta let your
rolling.
mind absorb what you're seeing.
I'm just imagining Mike McDonald on a loudspeaker. Okay, we're all going to take some time to just reflect. Please turn and talk to your neighbor about what you learned today.
We're going to do some silent reading.
Silent reading.
You guys remember
Great
AR?
times.
Was that your generation?
What's AR? What is that?
AR,
Accelerated
Reader Program. Maybe it was a Washington
That was
State
stupid.
thing.
No idea.
They
it
give you
I don't-
points for
was
books
it
that you finished.
stupid, or was it actually like brilliant for brilliant people?
How did they know that
we're
you read
all
the whole
working in the
book?
same place, Stacey.
Well,
so if you
You'd have to take, if I remember correctly, this is in elementary school. If I remember correctly, you had to take a quiz, and they had preloaded
About the books,
They had
yeah.
preloaded tests, so you would
Uh-huh.
go on your computer, and then you would it was like, I don't know, 5 questions or whatever. So it would quiz you to see if you learned it. And the internet wasn't what it was. So for kids nowadays that are like, read Wikipedia, you didn't have that option.
Didn't have that.
Right.
So
Okay.
you had to
And
read the book.
there would be more points available
For
depending
higher
on
level
the-
books.
Yeah, the difficulty. Like the Harry
Okay.
Potter books, I think were like the most points because
Yeah.
they were like 700 pages or
So
whatever.
if you were like me, you could go out and read some
A nerd.
smart people books, take all those points out, and then just coast.
So what did you get? Well, what was the
It's like a pizza party at the end of the year. I think.
Right.
pizza party?
You became popular.
Did
No,
you?
No,
I
if that
don't
was
think-
true.
I don't think there
just
was a
hurt my heart
correlation
yesterday
at
with a
all with
story.
accelerated reader
Okay.
points and
But also,
popularity.
does the story make more sense when I start bragging about reading? Next up. Oh, wait. Let's go really, really fast. September's the best sports month. Boarding or not boarding?
So playoffs for baseball.
Football starting.
Basketball don't start until like November, right? October. But
And
it's
your
October.
NHL isn't starting yet.
It's definitely. I mean, football season. It don't even have to. I mean, I love baseball. Don't get it twisted. But football alone, college, NFL, baseball, yeah, for sure.
Curtis, you on board or not? I gotta wrap this up.
No, it's April.
Okay. You're just saying that.
No, I'm
I guess
not.
March
He
Madness.
said that before.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Said that
I thought it
before.
was like a birthday month bias. Taking a look around the NFL next. Don't go anywhere.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
And I thought today would be a good day for some rapid fire Seahawks questions. I know how you love rapid fire, Brock.
You always do this to me at 7:30. I mean, can we wait till like 9:30 when the juices are flowing? I get acclimated to the show. I get some time to get the horsepower, revved up before you just start making fun of me like right out the
When
gate.
you got called into a game, did you tell everybody, like, wait
Yes.
a minute, I have to get acclimated?
Maura, did you see my career?
Going since 6 a.m.
Have you seen my career numbers, Maura? Yes.
Streaming on your smart speaker.
Well, this week's First Mark Challenge victory goes to my buddy Richard. Richard, why did you call First Mark Insurance?
The lady I'd been using for a couple years left, and I had no representation. I heard the advertisements on the radio, and I just said, I got to do this. So I did, and I'll tell you, it's been happy days ever since then.
Were they able to save you money, Richard?
Yeah, it saved me about $3,500 is all.
Wow. Wow.
But I also picked up some other things. I got a personal umbrella because I've got a rental house in Idaho as well.
So what do you tell others, your friends, your family, your people you trust?
You need to call First Mark because they have top-notch customer service. Most companies offer customer no service nowadays. First Mark has the most top-notch customer service I've ever experienced, bar none.
Richard did it. My family did it. You got to go do it. It's totally free. Take the First Mark Challenge. See how much money they can save you and how much better your coverage will get. Maybe you will be our next First Mark Challenge victory. Just go to firstmarkinsurance.com.
You know what's coming to Snoqualmie Casino? A brand new, huge expansion, new hotel, an expanded gaming floor, a spa, and a whole lot more. For now, they've got some great country concerts coming. Craig Morgan on August 22nd, Twitty and Lynn on September 26th. And before the show, stop by for Falls Buffet or Vista, which always has amazing happy hour menus starting at 4 o'clock. It's all available at snocasino.com. It is Seattle's closest, only 30 minutes from downtown. Seattle's closest, Snoqualmie Casino.
Hey, it's me, your liver. You know, the organ that helps you recover every weekend after pizza, donuts, and all those drinks. When you have a headache, you take an aspirin. You have a stomachache, you pop an antacid. But where's the love for your best buddy, the liver? The least that you could do to help me stay healthy is take Active Liver from New Nordic. Active Liver tablets contain high-quality, all-natural ingredients like milk thistle, globe artichoke, and turmeric extracts, which are proven to keep me healthy and you feeling your best. Active Liver provides an easy daily detox and helps protect me all year long. So let me make you an offer you can't refuse. You take care of me with Active Liver, and I keep taking care of you. Capiche?
See for yourself why Active Liver is Scandinavia's #1 liver health supplement. You can find Active Liver at CVS and online at Amazon, Target.com, or directly from NewNordicUSA.com. Again, find it in stores at CVS or online at Amazon, Target.com, or NewNordicUSA.com.
Ah, the sweet feelings of summer. The kiss of warm sun on your skin. The softly scented breeze blowing through the trees. Don't worry, you have Off Clean Feel, fragrance-free mosquito repellent that feels good on skin, so even mosquitoes can't ruin those sweet feelings of summer. Off Clean Feel, prevention is the best protection from mosquitoes.
You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
Paid political announcement. A Bob for Bob update. Did you know AG Bob Ferguson is responsible for Washington being the only state with a social media advertising ban on political speech? In 2019, Bob's lawsuits made Washington the only state that doesn't allow you to run political ads on social media. Voter beware, because Bob's vendetta against your free speech won't stop when Bob gets what he wants. Governor. Paid for by the Bob for Bob Committee, 1283 Puyallup, Washington, 98371. Top 4 donors: Steve Gordon, Fremont Dock Company, Brian Haywood, and Susie Burke.
This is Stacey Rost. Is that leaky faucet driving you crazy? Don't wait until it becomes a flood. Call Ben's Plumbing, Heating, and Air. At Ben's Plumbing, they pride themselves on 5-star service, where your satisfaction is their priority. Whether it's a stubborn clog or a complete plumbing overhaul, their team of dedicated professionals is here to help with no commission sales tactics. Just honest, reliable service you can count on. Call today at 206-789-5353 or visit Ben's.plumbing. That's Ben's.plumbing.
There's an old saying that a house is not a home, but the Mariners house, T-Mobile Park, is home to an awful lot. Home to plays you can't believe.
Right shot, diving catch. Holy smokes, what a play by Crawford.
Home to 6-foot salmon that don't swim, they sprint. And even home to hot dogs that fall from heaven. Hallelujah.
Everybody likes free food just falling from the sky.
Oh, yeah. And it's also home to 47,000 screaming faithful.
We have a sellout crowd. I mean, the folks are up there in the rafters.
T-Mobile Park is our house. Mariners fans make it our home. Mariners baseball. Tridents up.
Don't miss this week's AOS showdown against the Angels at T-Mobile Park. The series continues tonight at 6:40 and tomorrow afternoon at 12:40. Plus, check out all the other great matchups and events on deck for this summer, like the Mariners Drone Show on August 2nd against the Phillies, presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort. Get your tickets today at mariners.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
You know how sometimes you debut a new look and people just don't respond well?
Nah, I've had the same look for like 20 years.
That's fair.
Minus the gray and the beard.
So I came to work with a giant bow in my hair. I thought it was cute. I've seen it on Pinterest. I've seen it on Instagram. The girlies are out there, with the bows in the hair. I thought it was a cute summer style. G. Scott literally followed me into the studio to say, "What is that?" And I said, "You just don't understand fashion."
Yeah, I think the bow works.
Thank you, but it's not for everyone. It's really not. It's an out there kind of look, and some people maybe they go with a new hair color. They go with a new style.
It's out there.
Well,
it is.
Okay, Matt, thank you so much. Joe Burrow has gone out there with one of his looks. Some people love it. Some people don't. He reported to Bengals camp with bleach blonde hair. I am talking Slim Shady Marshall Mathers bleach blonde hair.
Here's the thing, man. I'm secure enough to point out a handsome man. Joe Burrow is a good-looking man.
He is.
And he looked way more better with the dark hair situation going, looking like a superhero. But since I don't have hair, I never hate on anybody who does anything with their hair because, look, who knows what I would do if I had hair? I don't know. I think I'd keep it real simple still, but you do you, man. Because I've seen people like transform, like they get new hair and it's like a superpower. Just, every so many years, my wife cuts her hair and she just becomes a different person. She's glowing all over again. So, do what you do, man.
Joe Burrow's previous look was, if you were watching a movie, an old-timey movie, and a guy from the 50s had like a carton of cigarettes rolled up in his sleeve, and he was like a bad boy, but like with a heart of gold.
What do you call that?
That's
what
exactly
book
what
was that?
Yeah, that's exactly what he was.
What book was that, Matt?
I have no idea.
Pony Boy? You didn't read that book? Goodness gracious. Somebody help me. Pony Boy was a character in that book.
Name other characters.
Oh, The Outsiders?
Outsiders,
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, because I believe
a movie.
Pony Boy's actual name was Curtis in the movie.
That's why I remembered it.
Look, I always applaud taking a fashion risk, and so that's all I'll say about this. Moving on. Jets pass rusher Hassan Reddick is not reporting to camp while he seeks a new deal. This isn't surprising at all. He skipped the Jets offseason program entirely. That means he's subject to a $50,000 per day fine. New York acquired the former Eagle before the draft. He has 1 year, $0.5 million left on his current contract. Obviously, he's seeking for that to become an extension.
That's crazy. He goes, yeah, I'll go play for y'all. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, let's get this done. Matter of fact, I ain't showing up. I want more money. Gotcha. Joke's on you.
Happened.
Like, look, man, I'm like Aaron Rodgers, right? Same thing. Nah, man, this is that's low key. Like, because you knew this was gonna happen. He knew this was gonna happen. His agent knew this was gonna happen. I wonder if the Jets had any inkling that this was gonna be an issue.
I think if you're the Jets, you always have to know that when you give up something, whether it's a ton of money, a trade, whatever, for a player that is due an extension, he has all of the leverage. We saw this with Laramie Tunsil, excuse me. We saw this with Jamal Adams coming here to Seattle. Jamal Adams didn't report because he had all the leverage. He knew Seattle had to pay him. They gave up 2 first-round picks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, got some leverage there. And
Yeah.
Hassan Reddick has put together a nice career.
Well, and I think he has all the leverage here. New York is giving him that extension. When it happens, I would assume is somewhat imminent, but we'll see. This is interesting. Former Bengals All-Pro right tackle Willie Anderson has an interesting theory as to why the Pro Football Hall of Fame hasn't inducted someone from his position in 18 years.
I think the media had a bias because they just didn't understand the importance of the guys we blocked over there with some of the best rushers of all time. And the whole blindside thing got taken out because of the movie, and it just got pushed. The right side guys got pushed away.
You think the Blindside movie
Absolutely.
had an effect on your Hall of Fame bid?
Absolutely. These kids here now, you got some kids who are 18, 19 years old that would tell you, because I train kids out of my academy in Atlanta, I only want to play left tackle. And I say, well, go look at what Penei Sewell's contract was for the Detroit Lions this year. That was $100 million contract. So the kids and their parents, because of the media push of the blindside left tackle, is a huge deal. But they don't realize guards are getting paid crazy money right now. So it's definitely changed for the better, I think, because all the linemen, they're coming from everywhere now, these rushers. Right side, right guard, left guard, over the center, everywhere.
That blindside propaganda, what I love is I'm assuming it's Kay Adams, and you can hear her just go, wow. She said, what?
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
No, they want to play left tackle because it's a really important position, and they want that responsibility. I don't think that was like, yeah, Sandra Bullock and, in that movie really convinced me that I shouldn't play any other position but that side. It's an important position. Walter Jones, best tackle to ever do it. That's funny. I think maybe he was trying to be funny. I hope he was trying to be funny. Because if you're 6'2", 6'3", you ain't playing left tackle. You got to be a big boy with long arms. There's a body type that you need to play the left side over there. That's funny.
Also, I don't think he was kidding. I hope he was. I don't know a lot about him as a person, so maybe he was being really, really sarcastic. I think he's being serious, I think. If he's not, great joke. But to me, the blind side is more of like non-football fans who watched it were like, oh, now I know what the blind side is, or I know what a tackle does, or I know who Michael Orr is, or whatever. Anyone doing anything with football understood right tackle, left tackle, and that a right-handed quarterback, that left tackle is like, you know what I mean? This is not, they didn't educate a football audience about what a left tackle is with that movie.
No.
I blame Sandra Bullock for him and right tackles everywhere not getting the money they deserve. And I would sue Sandra.
Can I say that she killed that role, though? I don't even know if it was accurate. Whatever. Well,
Yeah.
obviously it wasn't because Michael Orr's tripping on the family, but
Yeah.
she killed that role.
She kills every role.
Mhm.
She's so underrated.
Yeah.
Next up, per Ian Rappaport and Mike Garafolo, Brandon Ayuk will indeed report to 49ers training camp. This is despite not yet receiving a new contract. Take a listen to what John Lynch had to say today.
I think, again, no absolutes there. We fully intend on Brandon being a Niner moving forward. We're always open to listen to things. But like I said, we expect Brandon to be an integral part of our team like he has been, and excited about that.
For Hype Train, I almost had one. Brandon Ayuk will be a 49er come week 1, or Brandon Ayuk will be a 49er at the deadline. It's so hard for me to see a world where someone who wants to be paid more, is unhappy with his contract, is then happy being with this team. Maybe because he knows out of the NFC, it's your best chance to get to a Super Bowl again. But it's such a weird situation. It's kind of awkward.
I think the teammates come into it, too. You don't want to let your guys down.
Yep,
You don't want to let
1,000%.
George Kittle down, Brock Purdy. You realize you have a squad this year. And are you willing to sit out and really risk $14.5 million I will never forget what that did to Le'Veon Bell. He was going to get, what, $12 million, something like that. He wanted more. He set out. He was never the same.
No.
I'm not saying that would be the case for Brandon Ayuk, but when it comes down to it, I think he cares about his teammates, and he's going to show up, man. So go ahead and collect what you can, but it's about your boys.
Speaking of wide receiver contracts, Bengals owner Mike Brown didn't sound like a guy wanting to do business with Jamar Chase during the season.
But we're not going to say, oh, no, we aren't going to do that deal if it's the right deal. It's not so likely that this is the good time to negotiate. The offseason is a better time for that, and we're going to try to keep focused on the football part. So I'm not going to rule anything out, but I will tell you that the die has probably been cast.
That's right. Bengals owner Mike Brown coming in at 14 miles per hour, telling us that Jamar Chase extensions isn't going to happen during the regular season. He's entering into the final year of that deal, though there is obviously that club option fifth year.
Did he get tagged?
Yes, so there's that fifth year tag,
okay.
whatever option.
What's the issue? I don't understand why they don't want to do it during the season. Is it going to be a distraction? No. I think he's going to go out there and do his job and keep balling. That's just them buying time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why it has to stop. Negotiations have to stop because the season started. I don't get that.
I think it's this idea of not wanting to
be a distraction.
Yeah, be a distraction or to do one thing for someone else, but I don't know. If you're winning, the season's good, you get that extension, the vibes are right, it could work out.
It could work out.
Alternatively.
I need an example of it just going down and not working out for the team and relationships being jacked up.
All right, what I need to know coming your way next, an hour early because we're going all Mariners for the dugout at 1 with Shannon Dreyer joining us in about 20 minutes. So get your questions in, any question, to the Mac and Jacks text line, 866-979-3776.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
Jeff Passan, are they still definitively buyers here at the deadline?
It's the Mariners' duty at this point to add to this pitching staff, because if the offense is even average, you have a team that not only can win the American League West, but can go very deep into the playoffs. I would not let a bad offensive stretch torpedo what still could be a very memorable season.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Hey, it's Dave Wyman speaking to those who have recently been diagnosed with prostate cancer. It's important to know you have several options for treatment. I'm here with Dr. Meyer, medical director of the Swedish Radiosurgery Center, to talk about one of the best and technologically advanced treatment options, CyberKnife. Dr. Meyer, why is CyberKnife one of the best procedures to treat prostate cancer?
Well, treatment for prostate cancer can affect men's quality of life. It can affect their romantic life. It can affect their urine and bowel function. And the CyberKnife does the best job of preserving that function while having excellent cancer control rates.
What do your patients think of the CyberKnife treatment experience?
Well, at the Swedish CyberKnife, our patients are really satisfied with the experience. They report very few side effects, and we are seeing excellent cancer control 10 years later.
To learn more about CyberKnife for prostate cancer, go to swedish.org/CyberKnifeProstate or call 206-320-7187. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish CyberKnife.
Almost everyone knows that Wild Wheat Bakery in Kent is a great spot for your favorite coffee drinks. With beans from around the world roasted to perfection right on site, handmade artisan bread and pastries, and mouth-watering breakfasts. But did you know Wild Wheat Bakery is now serving lunch? Delicious salads, pasta, burgers, and more. Come in today and enjoy our stylish dining room with family and friends. Wild Wheat Bakery in Kent. So much to discover.
At State Roofing, you can trust us to get your project done right because we prioritize quality and excellence in everything we do. Take advantage of 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest today, and don't pay until 2025. Call State Roofing at 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com.
Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. The best place to watch all your favorite sports. Featuring wall-to-wall viewing screens, 6 windows, and 30 kiosks. Be there at emeraldqueen.com. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Paid for by government. Did you hear? A secret hoard of 1904 $20 Gold Liberty coins have been found. These gorgeous 1904p gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck. And less than 500 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling making the secret U.S. gold coin discovery a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you can own a piece of the hoard. When you call, you are guaranteed a 1904 Gold Liberty struck at the iconic Philadelphia Mint. With limited availability, you must call now. These 1904 dated gold coins are still in uncirculated condition with brilliant luster. That is 120 years of history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-895-7664. Call now, and you'll receive a free bonus, a $75 value free with every order. Call 1-800-895-7664 now to secure your 1904P $20 Gold Liberty coins before they sell out. That's 1-800-895-7664.
America's favorite car show returns to Washington State with a jam-packed weekend of cool cars, cool people, and good time. It's the Good Guys 36th Rio's Garage Pacific Northwest National, and it's all happening this weekend at the Washington State Fair Event Center in Puyallup. Cruise on out and check out over 2,500 of the country's coolest classics. And don't miss the tire smoking burnout competition, Nitro Thunderfest, live music, family fun, Friday night vintage drags at Pacific Raceways in Kent, and so much more. It's Washington's biggest hot rod and party of the summer, and it's all going down this weekend in Puyallup. Details at good-guys.com.
Listen throughout the week to the Mariners Players Spotlight.
Ever since I got here, I want to win a World Series in Seattle, and this city's starving for another winning team.
Presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
Don't waste a beautiful summer day stuck inside fighting allergies. I'm Dr. Ryan Stern with the Stern Sinus Center. Sinus pressure, congestion, runny nose, snoring, and facial pain are just a few of the symptoms we can help you out with here at the Stern Sinus Center. From allergy workup and treatment to modern outpatient nasal and sinus procedures, we can help. We'll get you the relief you deserve, easily, quickly, and permanently. Find us in Federal Way and Auburn or at sternsinus.com. That's sternsinus.com.
Bring your whole crew to the game with the Mariners Suite at T-Mobile Park. Whether you're planning a special birthday party for friends and family or a company outing for up to 400 coworkers, there's no better spot for an unforgettable experience. Enjoy the suite life with premium catering, VIP parking, private Skybridge entry, and more. Plus, season ticket members get 15% off. Reserve your suite today at mariners.com/suites.
And the pitch up the middle, JP! Wow! What a play! Game over!
At 65 years old, Brian has a rather demanding hobby.
My biggest passion is snow skiing, and I ski between 70 and 80 days per year. And I ski instruct at a private resort in Montana.
Needless to say, that can be a bit tough on the joints.
When this knee started to bother me, I thought I'm doomed.
That's when Brian decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
If I did yard work or skied a few days in a row, I was fighting swelling and pain and no sleep and all sorts of problems, and that has absolutely gone away.
So are you back on the slopes?
I mean, I had a 14-day stretch with clients where I skied every day and I had no problem. It was fine. It was just like, I felt like new.
So I'm guessing you would recommend this to others.
Oh, I already have. I've told everyone that'll listen.
Whether it's a shoulder, hip, or knee, before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
It's really, truly a miracle.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
What I Need to Know is brought to you by Cookies Country Chicken. Here's how it works. Get your question in, any question, sports or not, to the Mac and Jack's text line, and we'll go through a list from listeners. 866-979-3776. These are live, so as you send it in, it's popping up. It's not like a queue of 47 questions you have to wait through. So if you got one, send it now. What I need to know, if you were running for president and had to pick a running mate from one of the in-studio personalities, who are you taking?
Easy, my best friend, Matthew.
What?
Matthew would be like my translator. Like I'll say some politically correct stuff, and Matt would come through like, this is what he means.
Matt's your policy guy.
Yeah.
Wow, a Bump Nelson ticket.
I think this is a bad ticket, Bump. I don't think we have a chance.
But look, we span across a lot of demographics, though. You know what I'm saying? Like,
we got the sports and the non-sports people.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
That's what I'm saying.
Stacey, you want to be transportation secretary?
Oh, secretary? Interesting. I'm just kidding. Matt, I'm just kidding. What I need to know. Let's see. Do the Mariners make the playoffs if they don't win the West?
It's going to be tough.
Oh,
Yeah.
jinx.
Ooh, look at you two.
I guess Bump and I are best friends.
Would you like to elaborate on why it'll be tough?
Because everyone else has better records.
Yes,
like the number
that's true.
twos in other divisions are a lot more better.
Let's see. After letting France go, says Ron and Puyallup, what 3 things will the Mariners do this trade season, let's say deadline, to improve this really bad offense? So what 3 things would you do? And if you don't have 3, just whatever comes to mind.
More bats that hit the ball hard, far, and often. Simple as that. Above a fringe player. I'm good with that. I don't need a superstar. Just help them out.
So related, 360. The chances of being able to pay all of your starters someday are slim. With that in mind, would you trade a major league starter now while their trade value is so high?
There's only 2 I would entertain, but I wouldn't want to do it.
Miller and Wu.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. I think that's your. You can only make your average. You can only make your offense okay, and an okay offense needs something else to be elite in order to be successful. So I don't want 2 things to be just okay, or even they're good, I guess. I want one thing to continue to be elite and just kind of save you and bail you out. What I need to know, what is your take on Scott Service's post-game interview? It looks like he's starting to take it to the team.
It's necessary. I think it was absolutely necessary. We need to hear it. They need to hear it. Management need to hear it.
Let's see. What's your favorite? Oh, the fair is about to start. What's your favorite fair food?
I don't know. I don't really eat food at the fair. I don't really go to the fair.
I haven't been in a really, really, really long time, but I would say.
Isn't the Evergreen State Fair out near your?
Yeah, and I hate it.
What?
Traffic.
Monroe?
Traffic. But go ahead and enjoy it.
New Mariners drinking game. You take a shot when they get a hit. What are you drinking?
Water.
Every time she kisses me,
I don't
it's
think
like
you need to drink water.
sunshine and whiskey.
Whiskey? Someone said scones for the fair. That is the correct answer.
Yes.
Will the Seahawks, what I need to know, will the Seahawks get more or less than 5 wins?
These next 5 games?
Seahawks, the season.
Seahawks.
This
I'm thinking
season.
Mariners.
I know.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, I saw something that posted. They said they're going to go 5-12, I believe. Yeah, they get more than 5.
Yeah.
9 minimum.
9 minimum.
I got them 9-8 this year. Run it back.
I mean, okay, what's more likely, that they get 10 wins or 8 wins?
More likely?
Yeah.
8.
Yeah, I tend to go on the lower, like the under.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd love to be surprised. I actually really liked, I'm blinking on who we had on, but he said, I don't think the Seahawks will make the playoffs, but I think they're going to be one of those teams that we all talk about because there's so much exciting stuff. It was like how people talked about the Lions when the Lions knocked the Packers out and helped the Seahawks back in, where people are like, ooh, look out.
That's a great place to start.
Yeah. What I need to know, what's a local restaurant or just a place you went as a kid that no longer exists but you'll never forget?
Good question.
This person said, mine was Billy McHale's in Redmond. It had a small train that drove around the entire restaurant. It was magical.
Man, this is kind of cheating because it exists, but I thought it didn't, and I ran across one. Where was I? I want to say it was like Tahoma or something like that. And Shakey's Pizza. There was one in Culver City where I grew up. We used to go to all the time. And I was out with my kids, and I saw the Shakey's, and I told my wife, we got to stop here.
There's one in Fairwood, I know. Speaking of pizza restaurants, a local one that used to be around here, Izzy's Pizza. They had a pizza buffet. There was one in Kent. They closed all their Washington locations down, and there was still one in the Portland area. And when I used to live there, I hit it up. And then guess what? A couple weeks later, that location closed down.
Aw.
I'm the Grim Reaper when it comes to Izzy's Pizza.
The 253 says, Pizza and Pipes was a pizza parlor that had a huge pipe organ that would play all sorts of stuff. I'm sorry. If I'm at a pizza restaurant, I don't want to hear like, bah, 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 like just like I'm at a ball game in 1925. I don't know about that one, although I was going to offer up something equally as obnoxious. I didn't love it here, but it does remind me of being younger. Rainforest Cafe.
Oh, yeah.
Horrible food.
I think
Terrible food.
I think
Disgusting
the
place.
only ones that still exist are like at Disney World and Disneyland.
The first time it opened, I was like, wow, this is amazing. But the food was never good. But I've been there many times as a kid.
Random Toys R Us shutting down. That hurt my heart.
Devastating. I know. Someone else just said pizza and pipes was awesome. Different texture. Let's see. What I need to know. Jen says, I'm saying it right here. My gut says the Seahawks will be 10-7, Jen and Beaverton.
Let's go, Jen.
Okay. Do you feel, what I need to know, 425, do you feel having Julio out for a day or 3 might actually be a good idea? If not for his rest, perhaps it will make others step up.
I put that in our email. Like, there's a possibility. But nah, that ain't going down.
Okay. 425, you're Jerry Jones. Who are you giving a deal to first, CD or Dak?
CD.
Yeah.
Siri's trying to talk. I wasn't talking to you,
Dak's
Siri.
a fascinating one. All right, well, we're not going anywhere. Instead, we're going all Mariners. Insider Shannon Dreyer joins us next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
Gino, he's a guy that I think is probably the biggest question mark on this team for a lot of people nationally.
You know, this guy's been through it, man. What a weird career Gino has had. You start off as a starter, and then all of a sudden you're in a backup situation. I think he was just kind of accepting his situation. Now you see how he is. He's very assertive, and like he wants to be somebody, and he's probably at that point, I'm just going to go out there and let it rip. I'm not playing with something to lose. I'm playing with something to gain.
Streaming on your smart speaker.
Homeowners, Bob Stelton here. Now, I'm sure you've seen metal roofs on commercial properties, but did you know they're an option for your home? Ever since speaking with Anthony at Asset Roofing about their metal roofs, I've been seeing them everywhere, and maybe because Asset Roofing is installing a ton of metal roofs this season. A metal roof lasts longer, is more eco-friendly, and is a great option for adding solar panels. Asset Roofing is leading the local push in metal roofing, and they can even offer metal roofs for up to 30% less than their competitors. Asset Roofing cuts each metal panel in-house, which speeds up the production process and saves customers money. If you're redoing your roof this year, get a quote from Asset Roofing on a metal roof. I recommend Asset Roofing because they're honest, do amazing work, and prioritize safety within their work culture. You're either hiring a liability or you're hiring an asset. Head to AssetRoofingCo.com. That's AssetRoofingCo.com.
Certified work is never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
Chill or grill on a new deck this season. Get a free Makita Bluetooth radio or portable pellet grill with a qualifying PAR deck package purchase. But hurry, offer ends soon. Visit par.com for details. PAR, your total home building source. Go where the builders go.
The 2024 Seahawks season is almost here. Get fitted for game days with jerseys, caps, and tees, including the 2024 training camp collection. Visit the Seahawks Pro Shop at the Landing in Renton and Lumen Field or online at Seahawks.com/Pro Shop.
Have you been searching for a local, trustworthy group of professionals to assist with your mortgage? Hey, this is Brock Heward, and you can count on Tila Mortgage. They've been the go-to mortgage experts in Washington for over 25 years. If you are 62 or older and want to learn more about reverse mortgages, well, Tila can help you decide if it's the right choice for you. If monthly payments are impacting your credit score and just killing your cash flow, Tila can assist you in consolidating your debt with proven programs like a refinance loan or a home equity line of credit, a HELOC, enabling you to maintain your low fixed rate first mortgage. Additionally, if you're purchasing a new home, well, Tila can guide you through the ins and outs of a home loan as well. With hundreds of 5-star reviews, Tila, spelled T-I-L-A, is a trusted source for honest and ethical mortgage advice. Call Tila today at 206-766-8888 or
Tila Mortgage LLC is a mortgage broker. NMLS 2472046.
Are you constantly dealing with a runny nose, nasal congestion, or stuffiness? Always having to clear your throat or coughing? I'm Dr. Ryan Stern with the Stern Sinus Center. Rhine Air is a simple, non-invasive procedure that can significantly reduce your symptoms. This long-lasting treatment is available here in my office. In a clinical study, 88% of Rhine Air patients experience a significant reduction in their symptoms. We're proud the Stern Sinus Center was recently named a nationwide center of excellence. Schedule your appointment in Auburn or Federal Way or go to sternsinus.com.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
I'm here with my friend Mark Clymer from Wayscar Ford, Isuzu in Auburn. Mark, is now the best time to buy a new car?
Well, it absolutely is right now because we have our factory invoice sale going on right now, which means you're going to pay what we pay. And this is on all our 24 model vehicles, basically, everything except for Raptors. So we're talking F-150s, Rangers, Mavericks, F-250s, Explorers, Escapes, Expeditions, you name it. These are brand new 2024 models. They also come with our lifetime powertrain coverage and 5 days or 500-mile, 100% money-back guarantee, so you can shop with total confidence. There's no negotiating, nothing. You pay what we pay. We're overstocked right now, and we need to make room. We have a lot more vehicles coming in. So, yeah, you're right. If you've been putting it off and you're looking to get a new Ford, for a limited time, we're having our factory invoice sale. You pay what we pay.
Take the hassle out of car shopping. You know you're getting a great deal at Wayscar Ford, Isuzu in Auburn. WayscarFord.com.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Seahawks report to facility today. Training camp starts tomorrow. No updates or any news about contract holdouts, but we do have some situations happening with two other teams. Per Ian Rappaport and Mike Garafolo, Brandon Ayuk will report to 49ers training camp. This is despite not having a new contract with his team and very publicly being okay with a possible trade. Meanwhile, Jets pass rusher Hassan Reddick is not reporting to camp while he seeks a new deal.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This is The Dugout. Every Tuesday at 1 with Bump and Stacy. Inside access to the clubhouse from Shannon Dreyer on Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
Mariners insider Shannon Dreyer joining us right now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Hi, Shannon. How's it going?
Oh, it's just great, Stacy. How are things going for you guys?
Well, they're up and down, Shannon. We've actually had a lot of fun talking about this team, but the team itself is very frustrating, and I think we're all kind of playing the blame game, figuring out where responsibility lies. We started our show, Bump and I, by talking about how much lies on the shoulders of Scott Service. Do you see what's happening this year as primarily a coaching issue, or do you see it as something else?
No, until I see some coaches standing up at the plate in a big league game actually taking swings, I find that very hard to blame on the coaching unless there is just something egregious about what they're doing, and there's not. You're looking at a team that is struggling, and if you look up and down the lineup any given night, you might have two bats that are in any kind of consistent performance level that's acceptable right now. There have been struggles throughout. Just about every guy 1 through 9 is well behind their career norms in what they've done up there this year, and that is not a coach telling them, swing at this pitch and don't swing at that pitch, or change your swing or do this or do that. That's not how any of this works. So for me, I have to put a lot of it, the most of it on just underperformance. That is what we're seeing right now. And unfortunately, to add to what we have seen with the offense in the last month, and there have been times off and on throughout the season we've seen it, but it's been a little bit more consistent. We're seeing that out of the bullpen right now, too. And bullpens are always the most fixable, and I think the most important thing, I know you've heard this from me before, but when runs are precious, you have to throw a lot at that bullpen to make sure that you have those arms that can take care of it when you do have a lead. And that's what we've seen these last couple of days. That's what we saw a lot going into the trade deadline into the All-Star break, is that when they have gotten to a lead of any sort, they've struggled to hold it, and that's not what we're used to seeing with this team the last few years.
Shannon, does that make you think that by the trade deadline, that they'll go reach or look for an arm for the bullpen?
Well, they should. And I think they should also be looking internally right now. I think there is an internal option that I think a lot of us are kind of expecting that we would see some point in the second half. There's a kid by the name of Troy Taylor who's been tearing it up in Double-A, and I think you're to the point where if you heard Jerry DiPoto on with Brock and Salk last week, and kind of sounding the warning, and it's not an excuse. It's more of a fact, is that you always hear all of these names that are available at the trade deadline. You hear them for the months before, and a lot of that is just talk and generated talk. What is truly available and what is actually traded and what you are talking about for the month and a half, 2 months before, usually are two very different things. So I think along those lines, I think that they need to make the internal moves that they have, and I do think that we did see that with Ty France. Was he the worst hitter on this team? Not by a long shot. WRC plus was actually, closer to normal than most had, but that was a move that you could make. And because you do have a young player in Locklear that you can bring up, and I anticipate they will bring up shortly. Elsewhere where you can do that, I think you will start to see that, because I don't think those external moves are going to be there as much as people think. And so at that point, your only option is internal, and they do have young players that are going to be coming up at some point. So, if the mantra has been once you're at Double-A, you're that close to the big leagues, and you don't think that you are going to be able to make too many impact moves, or even if you are, let's say, able to add 2 bats in one arm, I think there's room for another. I do think that you do see those internal moves made, and I think Taylor is a possibility. I think Locklear we will see soon, and I think we could see some other things as well.
Clips from Scott Service's post-game press conference were making the rounds all over X.com last night, obviously garnering a ton of attention because he seemed almost uncharacteristically bothered and upset. I know that you were there. In fact, a question that you asked him was one of the clips that was circulating. What did you make of his general demeanor, and what do you think about what that clubhouse culture feels like right now?
Well, I hadn't seen that demeanor from him before. But I think that, yesterday, and I said this on the post-game show last night, was, and I don't have the best memory when it comes to these things. I tend to put them out of my mind as quickly as I can when they're not good. But that was one of the least enjoyable days I've had covering this team. It was a hard day. It is hard to see a player like Ty France, who, yes, is underperforming, but yes, has been a fixture in that clubhouse, and you've seen grow up in that clubhouse. And, that was their first baseman for the last 4 or 5 years, and he did do good things when he came up. Well, they feel that in the clubhouse too. Scott feels that. That's tough when you have a day that starts out like that. Then you're not sure when Julio's coming back. You see your shortstop injured as well, and you see one of the worst losses of the year. It wasn't worse than that they, gave up a huge lead or had too many runs scored against them, but they really needed that game last night. And you saw them lose it in a fashion that you've seen them lose other games in the last 2 weeks. And I think in looking at Scott, it's just what more can you do? And he is somebody that has been incredibly patient, and that is very important in this game. You can't be too reactive in this game. A game that, you are together for 7 months, 8 months if you make the postseason. You're playing 6 months worth of games. You're playing almost every night. It does not help if you're the manager out there, kicking things and throwing things all the time. So I think that, makes it that much stronger that was the reaction that we saw from him last night. And, it was a bad day. It was definitely a low. And I think there was a statement last night where we've done everything we can do. When I say we, I'm talking about the entire coaching staff. There is a lot of hard work that goes in there. And when you see a lot of the same mistakes being made, and when you go up there and you are kind of leading the charge, and you guys are going to get there and leading in the optimism and having the talks and bringing the players into your office and trying different things. And when all of a sudden the game time comes up, this isn't what we talked about. When you look out on the field, 100 games in, and you're in a spot where it is right there for you to take. I think the frustration just got to a point where, only a person can only be so patient. And I think that we saw that last night.
Yeah, I agree 100%. What's Service's role in all of this? Stacey and I were talking about, obviously, his post-game interviews, and she asked how I felt. I thought it was completely necessary. I think that you have to show some emotion when you're in a moment like this, but you can't be there all the time, right? Scott just can't show up every day and be the angry father or uncle or whatnot. And you've been around him, obviously, more than we have. How do you feel like he moves forward with this team as far as his approach when it comes to just the mental and his messaging?
Well, it'll be interesting to watch because last night I think was different. That doesn't mean there haven't been hard conversations or unpleasant team meetings afterwards. I don't know. I haven't been in them, but there have been times where I'm sure it has come to that. He is a turn-the-page guy, and in everything that he said last night, he kept pointing to, we've got 60 games. We're not out of this yet. It is not do-or-die time. We are close, but I think that is the focus. With everything that has happened, and, this is a clubhouse that has been together all season long. It has been good inside that clubhouse, and it got a heck of a jolt in two regards, and one, that they lost a key member early in the day, and two, I think the line was finally drawn, and I think that there, probably were some challenges made. I think that when he talked about the consistency and you've got to fight and you've got to attack the game, and, he was kind of saying, and without saying it, that that's not always happening. And I have no doubt that that was kind of challenged in the clubhouse, that he challenged them with that in the clubhouse before we got in there. And that's different because with this team, when it has struggled before, this has been a coaching staff that was more apt to put their arms around the player and say, hey, it's going to be fine. We're going to get there. You're surrounded with talent in here. It's a long season. We're working. We're going to find the solutions. We're going to get there. And I know that there are times in other years where they've had big struggles where, they have kept the staff there long into the night. And rather than kind of blame the players, what can we do? What can we do differently that is going to get out of them, what we need to get out of them? And every that post-game press conference that you've seen, it's been Scott taking the pressure off of the players. His demeanor has been to, focus on, we're fine, I'm good, we're going to get there. And at the same time, he's saying that out to the fans. That's what the clubhouse sees as well. And that's the message that they see. And it doesn't help if they see him flying off the handle all the time. But now that we've seen something different, and now that there has been a change made in the clubhouse, and there will be other new faces in the clubhouse today, there's a roster spot to fill with Ty France gone. JP's going on the IL. We don't know if Julio is going to be placed on the IL or not. He's day-to-day, but the way they were talking about it was with an ankle, you go out, you try it. Are you good today? Nope. Okay, we'll try again tomorrow. How long can you go with that? Are there relievers that need to go on the IL? I think we will see some changes in there, and that's going to be a very different atmosphere.
Are you
anticipating? I think the messaging is going to be, you got 60 games, and the carrot in front of you is still there. Do you want this to be kind of a miserable 2 months, or do you want to make a run for this? It's on you.
Just a really quick clarifying question. Like when they typically make moves and don't. Is there typically like hey, we do this between series, or like are there potential IL moves that could be in a group coming up here?
Well, if it's IL, if there's an injury, that's when they're going on the IL.
Okay.
And this is actually the perfect time to make moves because you are in one series and you have another series coming up that you absolutely should win. So, let's go. It's in your favor. You've got the White Sox coming. You are, even with all the struggles that you have right now, you should be a better team than the Angels. That's a good time to make changes. That's a good time to kind of get on them and, whoa, look, that boosted them. They won their next 4 games. Right. They're also playing teams that they should be winning against, but that sometimes gets things going.
Makes sense. She is Mariners insider Shannon Dreher, kind enough to join us on the dugout. Thanks, Shannon.
Thanks, Shannon.
You got it, guys.
All right, coming up next, let's find out how you spot the talent before it even gets here. Mariners Director of Amateur Scouting, Scott Hunter, joins us on the dugout.
Seattle Sports is your exclusive home for Mariners baseball.
That baby is out of here!
Every strikeout.
Swing and a miss for strike 3. Bryce Miller capped his day of 7 scoreless.
Every home run.
Goodbye baseball, he did it! Julio Rodriguez.
Every Mariners win.
And Mitch Haniger, just like the old days. He wins it for the Mariners in the 10th inning.
Stream every game at seattlesports.com or on the Seattle Sports app. We are Seattle Sports.
Lexus is electrified, and the first ever RZ450E has the performance and range to get you where you need to go. With the exclusive Lexus Direct 4 all-wheel drive technology, Lexus of Bellevue has over 50 RZs available for immediate delivery with electrifying savings. Up to $18,500 lease cash on every RZ450E. Visit lexusofbellevue.com.
On approval of credit through LFS, lease cash from Lexus available on select 2024 RZ styles. Must take delivery by July 31st, 2024. A documentary service fee up to $200 may be added to the purchase price or capitalized costs. See dealership for details.
The biggest scuba sale in America starts Thursday at Underwater Sports in North Seattle. Incredible savings for 3 days only. Divers Fair only happens once each year at Underwater Sports, 107th and Aurora Avenue North.
High five. Up top. Heck yeah!
Dave's company just got the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business.
Yeah, 5 years!
It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
High five for gig speed.
5 years of advanced security.
Security win.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Our rate ain't changing.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
There it is.
He hasn't given this many high fives since Deborah brought in her famous banana bread.
Woohoo!
Now he's got savings.
I'm so excited.
Yep. Dave's feeling it, but it's only for a limited time, so don't wait. Switch today and ask how to get the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business. Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
And it's hurting, but I am not stopping.
Woo! Ends 8/21/24. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
Timmy, everybody. Great job. Next up for our 5th grade class recital, we have Samantha.
10 times better performance can make a big difference. Castrol Edge Motor Oil gives your engine 10 times better high-stress performance. Castrol Edge, better oil for maximum performance. Now through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart.
Claim based on sequence 9 test under high-load conditions versus API SP test limits.
Okay, we've got an hour to clean both cars. Grab the buckets.
Cool.
I picked up some 303. Their aerospace protectant is awesome, so we're going to try some of their other stuff. Grab me that bottle of wash.
Whoa, that smells amazing.
Yeah, that citrus is nice. Okay, now hand me the hose.
Hey!
I don't see a bucket yet.
303 Car Care. Driven by quality. Available at most auto retailers and Amazon.
Riverside Roofing LLC.com. Enter your address and receive a hassle-free quick quote on your roof replacement within seconds. Do it this summer and save time, money, and just get your project done. Go to Riverside Roofing LLC.com, the roofing company you can trust.
You're listening to The Dugout every Tuesday at 1 with Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
All Mariners from 1 to 2. Let's take a look back at the draft and some new Mariners that we're going to be watching for the next couple years here as they develop and make their way to the big leagues. Mariners Director of Amateur Scouting, Scott Hunter, joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Scott, how's it going?
Not too bad. How you guys doing today? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, happy to have you. I'm going to start by just asking you to kind of help prime listeners. I understand that you led the draft, but talk to us a bit about your role during all of this and maybe even some of the steps that you took to get to where you are right now.
Well, yeah. Well, that's hopefully I can keep it to a short story because it's as you get older and gray, you seem to forget some things. But yeah, I've actually had a playing career myself. Played 10 years in the minor leagues, got to AAA, spent a little time on the 40-man roster with the New York Mets. Never got a day in the big leagues, but wound up starting my scouting and coaching career back in 2004, and wound up being with the Mets for 9 years. Came over to the Mariners in 2013, did 3 years of international scouting. Was able to see us as a group sign Julio Rodriguez, which is really fun. And then got 8 years ago now, in 2017, Jerry asked if I wanted to come out of the international world and start running our draft. So been doing the amateur draft in the stateside since 2017 and just finished up my 8th draft. But for the most part, I just oversee a really good group of scouts and obviously analysts and PD and HP department that we have here that, brings a lot of information into one central location, which is our draft room come draft time, and allows me to make pretty good decisions and allows me to look smart. But at the end of the day, it's the group that I work with that I couldn't trust or believe in more. I mean, as an organization, I think we're running on all cylinders in regards to how we draft, select, and obviously develop players. And that's a credit to a lot of different people, not just me, who gets to obviously take phone calls like this, which is really nice.
Hey, Scott, I've always admired baseball and basketball for a couple of reasons. Baseball, I think, is the hardest thing to do is hit a baseball. But then, you don't get drafted like in football and like, all right, man, let's go to training camp and see if you make the team. Obviously, there's spring training, but, there's single A, double A, triple A. And then in the NBA, there's only 12 roster spots and you compete against the world. So I just appreciate how difficult it is to reach the pinnacle in baseball and basketball. So at least my question, like, what, if you could describe it, what's the hit rate? Because we have a lot of conversations with texters and callers about what the M should do and shouldn't do. Bring this guy up, send that guy down. And I go, man, it's so much more complicated and difficult than you may think. Like, how often do organizations just hit on the guy and he makes it to the top and does everything that you hope he does?
Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers, but I know it's a very low percentage. I think when I first started the scouting director position, a veteran scouting director told me, you'll be lucky if you get 1.4 big leaguers a year out of each draft. And I have no idea what that meant. But looking back on it, I realized this is really hard what we do. And as an organization, I mean, you look around to see what our group has done PD-wise and the scouts in the field to see 4 of our 5 starting pitchers, in the big leagues right now from our draft, our catcher from the draft, Julio Rodriguez from our international scouting department, having 7 or 8 top 100 draft picks or top 100 prospects in the game ranked by third parties in the industry just shows you that our group has done really well in this area. And that's not a credit to anything I'm doing special. It's just a really good group of people that care about what we're doing here in Seattle. And I think the old lines of, baseball organizations who are siloed, meaning PD, player development, does their thing, scouts do their thing, and analysts stay behind the curtain. That's not something we believe in. I mean, everybody has a voice in our organization. If you can have a piece of information that helps us make a good decision, we're going to use it. And that shows with how our process of drafting and developing players has kind of come to fruition with what we're looking at, not only coming through our minor league system, but obviously what's happening at the big league level right now.
Hey, Scott, you mentioned being a part of international scouting, obviously overseeing the acquisition of Julio, and I'm positive that you just knew there was something special about this player when you guys signed him. Has there been maybe another player, and he could be even with another team, or maybe he's newly drafted, or maybe he's still in the minors, that you remember thinking like, God, I just have like an inkling about this guy, and I can't wait to see if we're right?
Yeah, how much time do we have? Because there's a lot of those that we've had coming through our system right now. I mean, we can use. I mean, our big league level. Obviously, Logan Gilbert's a different human being, both on and off the field. But his presence, his just character, we're kind of when I met him in 2018, kind of represented everything we wanted to be as an organization, both on and off the field. Someone who wanted to learn, someone who wanted to compete, someone who cared about not only what he is doing on the field, but and it's a phrase that I used when I first started here. We just don't want good players. We want players that are going to be good people and understand that there's something bigger than themselves, and that's winning in Seattle. And I do think as a major league player, Logan Gilbert, exemplifies that for us right now, just who he is as a teammate and what he's been able to do over the last, several years here in Seattle. But I'll say, Julio, obviously, when you meet him at 14 years old, he still had that same smile on his face. He'd walk into a room. He was very respectful. He had that air about him that old-time scouts used to say, like, you can tell when a real star is in the room because he kind of sucks the air out of the room when you sit with them. And that was Julio. That's, Colt Emerson has a real good vibe like that, who's doing really well in the minor leagues. You just really get to sit with kids over time. And, from my playing career and then obviously scouting, you're really getting an understanding of what kids are looking at the draft as a finish line, and others that believe in wanting to win and being not only big leaguers, but great big leaguers that make a difference in a city. And that's the difference with what our scouts have done in the field. They've identified the right character, not only the right people, but, I mean, these kids come to Seattle and they understand. I mean, not to go be too long-winded, but 2022 when we broke the streak, seeing Cal Raleigh hit that home run to get us into the playoffs was a special moment for our entire organization, but also as a scouting staff, because that's what we preach to these guys. Like, we want to get back to the playoffs. We want to win a championship, and who's going to be the part of it that can do that? And these kids that we were drafting really believe in that and are really taking that to heart.
When I was a kid, we used to have competitions to see who can throw the furthest with our offhand or off arm, and we all look silly, and we sit there and watch each other throw and just be having a ball, rolling, laughing and stuff. But you guys drafted a kid who can do it and do it at a high level. How fun was it just watching Sanger do his thing and evaluating him during this whole process?
Yeah, that word was used a lot. God, this is a fun one. And you hear it from a lot of different scouts, like it's unique. You hear the unicorn. I mean, it's the first in my career. I mean, I know there's guys that have thrown both hands. I think Vendetti did it in the big leagues for a little bit, but not at this level. I mean, you see a kid, throw 98, 99 miles an hour right-handed, and then a left-hander comes up and he just switches his glove over and he throws 93, 94. I don't know what that means other than he's a really special athlete who's really talented. He also speaks 4 or 5 languages. Like, it takes a unique person and body and athlete to do what he's doing. And to hear words like unique, fun, exciting to a man that went to go see him play, it's something that just kept building over time. And it really.
Oh, Scott, you still there?
He must be taking I think another call came in on his line.
So sorry. Sorry.
You're good. You're good, Scott. You're good.
Something froze on my end. I tried to end, but yeah, it's back to Sanger. Yeah, it is a very special and unique thing that I don't think a lot of scouts have ever gotten to see. And, to be able to, I don't know where we got lost, but a special athlete, speaks 4 languages, has a great story coming from Curacao to the States to playing at Mississippi State of all places for a kid that was really had tough time learning even English and going to Mississippi to play college baseball. It's a truly unique talent. And I joke with all of our guys now. It's like spending so much time with them over the last couple of weeks and talking to them. I wish I had his resting heart rate. I mean, he must have a heart rate. Like, he doesn't sweat. Like, when he's on the mound, it looks like he's just playing catch and it's coming out 99, and then meeting with him up here in Seattle as we're approaching the signing. He is just a cool cucumber that I don't think's fazed by a lot of things, and that's a special trait for any player, let alone any big leaguer.
Man, I'm completely sold. I can't wait to see. I wish I could fast forward through time, right? I'm sure it's how you and your staff feel all the time. I wish we could fast forward and see what happens here and see when this comes to fruition. But we will have to wait, and this is also the most important part of his career, the beginnings of it, right? He is Mariners Director of Amateur Scouting, Scott Hunter. Scott, thank you so much.
Thanks, Scott.
No, thank you, guys. Sorry for that little hiccup there, but I appreciate
no worries.
you guys. Thanks for the time.
See ya. All right. We are going to wrap up at 45 after with just kind of previewing the rest of this series and a big opportunity that lies ahead for the Mariners. Before we get to that, Mariners broadcaster Dave Sims joins us next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
And I thought today would be a good day for some rapid-fire Seahawks questions. I know how you love rapid-fire, Brock.
You always do this to me at 7:30. I mean, can we wait till like 9:30 when the juices are flowing? I get acclimated to the show. I get some time to get the horsepower, revved up before you just start making fun of me like right out the gate.
When you got called into a game, did you tell everybody, like, wait a minute, I have to get acclimated?
Maura, did you see my career?
Going since 6 a.m.
Have you seen my career numbers, Maura? Yes.
Streaming on your smart speaker.
Trucks, pickups, and more SUVs. You want a better selection of dependable new and pre-owned trucks? Well, you've got it when you visit Chevrolet Buick GMC of Puyallup or Chevrolet of Everett, part of the Harnish Auto family. You simply won't find a better experience when buying your next truck. Plus, enjoy oil changes and powertrain warranty for life on all new vehicles, taking care of you for over 4 decades. Check out the outstanding selection from the Harnish Auto family, Chevrolet of Everett and Chevrolet Buick GMC of Puyallup. A better experience.
This is a paid political announcement. A Bob for Bob update. Under 12 years of Bob Ferguson as Attorney General and Chief Prosecutor, we in Washington have seen a lot of increases. This, of course, includes a 26% increase in violent crime, 58% increase in homicides, and Washington ranking 4th in the country in stolen vehicles in 2023, behind California, Texas, and Florida. Oh, and according to the FBI, Washington was the 8th most dangerous state between 2020 and 2022. Don't ask for help if you drive a Hyundai or a Kia that's been stolen. What has AG Bob Ferguson done? Bob's been busy planning his governor's campaign and keeping Washington last in the country in law enforcement officers per citizen. As the leader of the Bob for Bob committee, I encourage you to vote Bob if you want more of these crippling policies for Washington, so Bob gets what he's always wanted, governor. Paid for by the Bob for Bob Committee, 1283 Puyallup, Washington, 98371. Top 4 donors, Steve Gordon, Fremont Dock Company, Brian Haywood, and Susie Burke.
Are you looking for a construction loan to build your dream home? Are you a local builder needing a better financing option for your next spec project? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. Stop wasting time with local banks and credit unions and their endless guidelines. We're the experts for common sense residential construction loans. We lend our own money, we make our own decisions. And if your deal makes sense, we'll get it done fast with flexible terms. For homeowners, we advise you every step of the way with things like budget and timeline, ensuring the completion of your dream home. For builders, Legacy's not only your lender, we'll source your next deal, provide permitting services, and if you're short on equity, we'll invest alongside of you. Legacy Group Capital has lent more than $1 billion, helping over 130 local builders and hundreds of homeowners. We can help you.
Construction loans don't have to be hard. Borrow smart with a common sense construction loan from Legacy Group Capital. Visit LegacyG.com. LegacyG.com.
I saw her texting, coming up to a stop sign, and so I saw the accident coming, and she T-boned us.
In the blink of an eye, Crystal's life changed when she suffered a severe spinal injury.
The pain was something I had never experienced before in my neck. I got massage therapy. I saw a chiropractor. I was prescribed muscle relaxers so I could sleep. I got depressed. Nothing was relieving the pain.
Drugs, sleepless nights, and depression. Sound familiar? I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic physician and board-certified functional neurologist. At Sound Pain Solutions, our treatments include high-dose laser combined with spinal decompression and other comprehensive therapies to rehabilitate damaged discs. We use treatments that are non-surgical, FDA-cleared, drug and pain-free.
I was able to get off my pain medicines, and I was able to sleep through the night, and that was what I was desperate for.
To learn if you're a candidate for our treatment, call us. Sound Pain Solutions, 855-996-3536, or click soundpainsolutions.com.
12's Seahawks training camp powered by Boeing is on the horizon. Starting July 24th, join us lakeside at the Virginia Mason Athletic Center for the first of 9 practices. Get an up-close look at the new Seahawks head coach, Mike McDonald, and the next gen of Seahawks players as they take the field to prepare for the upcoming season. Summer in Seattle and Seahawks football, what's better than that? Register now at Seahawks.com/training camp. That's Seahawks.com/training camp.
You're listening to The Dugout every Tuesday at 1 with Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
Joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline, Mariners broadcaster Dave Sims. Dave, how's it going?
We're doing well, doing well. How you guys doing?
Well, we're okay, Dave, and probably feeling like you're feeling, which is sometimes frustrated, sometimes intrigued, sometimes annoyed by this team. I know, and I can hear it in your voice during these calls, I would imagine that sometimes it's just a little bit frustrating watching this offense. What this game last night, do you point the finger and say, hey, you made the wrong decision with the bullpen, or do you look at the offense and say, get more than one run? Like, what do you see as still the fundamental issue with this team?
Well, they got to be able to punch back. They got to, you got to score runs. I mean, you can't live on a 1-0 lead. And, and Stanek will be the first to tell you he's got to be better. And, you're riding, razor thin margin here. You score 1 run and try to make that live against a major league club. I don't care what their record is, 12, 15, 20 games under 500, they can still score. So, hey, the frustration is the offense is not very good right now. And the pitching has just been superb. And that's the story of the club this year. It really is.
Yeah, and Dave, that's what I was going to ask you about. Miller looked sharp last night. I'd say top 2 or 3 performances I've seen. What has allowed him to grow? What have you seen in the growth of Miller?
Well, part of the growth is, listen to your coaches, looking at the videotape. going out there and executing, and that's what he's been doing, and particularly at home. His record at home is a heck of a lot better than it is on the road. And, yeah, he's a talented kid. You know, it goes back, again, you got to score runs. You got to be able to punch back. You can't go into a fight and sit there and try to win it. You know, was it Mayweather is about the only guy I can remember recent vintage in boxing, go out there, not throw too many punches and come away with a win. Here, you better score some runs.
Dave, you have watched a lot of baseball, so I'm leaning on you for this. Does this look and feel like a team to you that if they added a bat, if they just got just enough help, could be far more competitive and support that rotation?
Well, yeah, no kidding. But, you know, who are you going to get? What do you got to give up?
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what happens like everybody else. I mean, an influx, we've seen this happen before the trade deadlines, absolutely. You get a guy, and, I mean, it's not like flipping a switch, but all of a sudden, you know, things start to happen, and you know, it's sometimes, I don't want to say mystical, but it's very difficult to put your finger on why certain things happen in baseball, and you just got to live with it. It's painful, and you know, I used to do talk radio. I know what you guys are going through, and you're looking for concrete answers. They're not going to come up and just tap you on the shoulder and say, "Here I am." That's not how it goes. So it's a process that goes through it, and it when it's going well, you really can't explain it. And when it's going bad, sometimes you can't explain it. Although this case is kind of obvious. One of the worst batting averages and low-scoring teams. And that's a humongous problem. No getting around it. But, hey, you know, we soldier on, and the boys will tee it up later on today.
And we were reminded that this is a business, man. I remember when I got cut and had to clean out my locker, you know, and unfortunately,
tell me about it.
Ty friends had to do it, and you say your goodbyes and you wish everybody luck or whatnot. But you move on. Did you feel like that was a necessary move, or did you feel like you know, they probably could have held off on that and set themselves up? I'm just trying to get like the whole mood behind the whole Ty friends deal.
Well, it's a business, and you know, as much as you love the guy and he has been performing the way he would, you know, he'd be the first to tell you that. It's a tough business, man, and you know, you're around guys for a long time. You form relationships and bonds, but you know, that's a cold-blooded part of the game, and especially. Again, I say this every time I'm with you guys. This is the window for this ball club of that pitching, which continues to be just fabulous. And again, I'll say it for 1 millionth time. Everybody I talk to, I go to talk to the other managers, the other coaches, they go, "Hey, dude, we do not want to face you guys in a 3-game series. No freaking way." Well, it all comes down to you got to get there. If you get there, you know, and everybody's pitching is going to be good at that point. But this team is sort of made for those type of playoff runs. But to get there, you know, you're going to have to do some bashing and scoring and creating opportunities and cashing them in. And it's not happening right now. But you know darn well last year, was it last August, all of a sudden things were going great guns. Everybody had not only penciled in, heck, they had inked in the Mariners to be in the playoffs in one way or another. It didn't happen. So hopefully the turnaround, this go around and, will be an upshoot for the ball club. So we're going to find out. And that's the mystery of baseball. So much of this you can't just explain. You really can't explain. You really can't.
Well, Scott's going to have the tricky task of keeping a team fully bought in while they're facing a ton of doubt and a ton of frustration. Dave, you have been around this team for years. You also know these guys. What's the vibe? Like, let me get a vibe check.
They're not going to quit.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, they got their names on the back of their jerseys. They got their faces up on the Diamond Vision. They're not going to do anything there. They're not trying to embarrass themselves. I'm not saying that they're embarrassing themselves, but they certainly want to do a hell of a lot better than they are. And it's just a difficult situation. I mean, I'm watching. I'm not, I think I expressed my feelings during the course of the broadcast. I mean, it's frustrating to watch, and you're rooting like hell for them. And, you just hope that at some point something's going to click. And there's not a lot of time, but there is some time.
Dave, with all that being said, these dudes are still tied for first place in the division.
Exactly. I know. Hey, seriously. This morning I'm putting down, filling out my scorecard this morning, and I was like, dude, you can sit here and bitch and moan all you want, and they're still in first place. And I know Texas got a win last night. They're, 3 or 4 behind in the loss column. And, Houston lost last night. Houston's a good team, not a perfect team. Texas has its problems. You got a lot of cats that generally are performers, maybe not high octane, but certainly mid octane, if you will. They're below that standard right now. So if they can just raise it up half a level offensively, because I think the pitching staff is going to take care of the rest, but you got to get them some runs.
Well, and I want to just go back to that pitching staff, too. It's like they deserve more support. 59 quality starts, 16 of those are losses. I feel like it's almost like we're spoiled with how good they've been this year that we forget that that's not common, that 29 other clubs are going, I'd like some of that.
Oh, yeah, no question about it. It reminds you of the story of the New York Football Giants in the late 50s, early 60s, and they had a defense that was unbelievable. The offense was having a hard time scoring, and when the change of possession, the defensive guys would tell the guys, all right, go hold them. Tell the offensive guys to hold them. You got to score. You got to score, plain and simple. And we're going to find out. That's the thing. Stick around, find out.
Obviously, Julio's out. JP is out. And every now and then, Dave, you see teams, you hear about teams that have that us against the world, back against the wall, what are you going to do type of performances to kind of just survive what's happening with this team. When you look at the personalities that are on this team, do you feel like, that can be done with the Mariners?
Why not? I mean, you played. You didn't want to embarrass yourself, did you? Hell no.
Heck no.
You got to go out there and perform. Come on. And this is about opportunity. Cats get an opportunity. They want to shine. So I don't think we're going to see any shrinking violets. I mean, there's too much on the line. There's too much, there's a good feeling in that club. I mean, they seem to be really tight. And pitching staff's not revolting against the offense or anything. Hey, this is what we do. We hold people down. They got to score, and we're supporting each other. And that's what's happening. But Bump, you played, man. If you're next man up, you're not going in there going, woe is me or any of that kind of stuff. Hey, man, I want to do the job. I want to get my name in lights.
That's how I got my opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, there's no great mystery here. You get a chance, all right, that's why you're on the team, because we think you're capable. Let's go do it. Let's make it happen.
He is Mariners broadcaster Dave Sims. Well said. As a final note for this one, I know you got a busy day. We're going to let you go. Thanks for your time, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
You bet. All right, take care.
See ya. I saved us just like 30 seconds to talk about Dave's messaging because I thought it was so good. And what really stood out to me, among everything he had to say about the pitching staff and making the most of it, was the final point that you guys were joking about. You were joking, but both very serious, which is these aren't shrinking violets. These are professional ball players. Their pictures are outside the stadium. Their names are on the back of their jerseys. This idea that they are just going to feel defeated and not try maybe doesn't give them enough credit. These are grown, blank men.
Yeah, and I think that can get lost in the record and the outcome of some games. Like, these dudes got too much pride. And a lot of guys, say there were guys like a Class A, like, he was myself. I knew that if I didn't come out and even practice well, didn't perform well, I was going to get cut. There's going to bring somebody else in. So there's the team battle that you have going on, and there's also the individual battle that is happening as well. So, yeah, they're going to keep fighting, and hopefully they fight tonight and get her done.
Good stuff from Dave. Good stuff from Shannon. Thank you again to Director of Amateur Scouting, Scott Hunter, for joining us. We are wrapping up the dugout by taking a look at the rest of the series and a very, very big opportunity that lies ahead for the Mariners. That's next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
Ty France has been placed on outright waivers. He was a guy who was an all-star a couple of years ago. We'll see what happens with him. A team can claim him off of waivers. They would be on the hook for what he's owed. He's not picked up. He can be outrighted to AAA. Now he's got enough service time where he can reject that and say, no, I'm going to be a free agent. We'll see what happens.
We've kind of talked about, well, maybe the guys in the clubhouse aren't going to like that. They're professionals. They understand how this game goes and how difficult it is.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
It's Cookies Country Chicken pregame fry time reminder. Headed to the ball game? Come on down to Cookies in Pioneer Square for some real good chicken and tell them,
make it spicy.
Fresh fried chicken at Cookies. CookiesCountryChicken.com.
America's favorite car show returns to Washington State with a jam-packed weekend of cool cars, cool people, and good times. It's the Good Guys 36th Rio's Garage Pacific Northwest National, and it's all happening this weekend at the Washington State Fair Event Center in Puyallup. Cruise on out and check out over 2,500 of the country's coolest classics. And don't miss the tire smoking burnout competition, Nitro Thunderfest, Fest, live music, family fun, Friday night vintage drags at Pacific Raceways in Kent, and so much more. It's Washington's biggest hot rodding party of the summer, and it's all going down this weekend in Puyallup. Details at good-guys.com.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. Call today and ask about our trade-in sale. Years of experience, thousands of happy customers. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
Mr. K's Construction reminds parents swimming is a healthy outlet for kids if we remember to put safety first. Make sure your children are visible at all times by a lifeguard or responsible adult. Sign them up for swimming lessons and provide a flotation device for added safety. Always check swimming conditions in advance and remind your kids to never swim alone. Best wishes to all our kids from the entire team at Mr. K's Construction, committed to making your home and our community beautiful since 1977.
Let's face it, nothing makes you look older than you really are than thinning hair. But what if you could not only increase your hair count, but promote new hair growth without surgery, without drugs with potential side effects, and without a prescription from your doctor? Well, now you can, thanks to a breakthrough new supplement called Hair Grow, provided by New Nordic, the #1 supplier of dietary supplements in Europe. Hair Grow is now available in the U.S. Only Hair Grow contains Tocogaya, a powerful antioxidant that has received a U.S. patent. Multiple clinical studies show Hair Grow is safe and effective in promoting new hair growth. In one study, 95% of the patients using Hair Grow saw increased hair count. Don't lose more time and more hair. Try Hair Grow today to feel and look your best. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or in stores at your local CVS. Look younger and feel more confident with Hair Grow by New Nordic at NewNordicUSA.com or in stores at your local CVS.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Oh no, your furnace died. Your hot water heater's leaking. Your drains are clogged. Your AC's blowing hot air. Inconveniences? No, they're emergencies. Don't fear. Call DEER Services. Visit deerservices.net. Make an appointment and we'll be there within 3 hours or give you $100 credit. And get this, you will never pay a service fee. Bookmark DEARservices.net because if you're a homeowner, it'll happen to you someday. Deer Services, there when you need us most.
You're listening to The Dugout every Tuesday at 1 with Bump and Stacy on Seattle Sports, the home of the Mariners.
Bump. The Mariners have an interesting opportunity. Now, they've got the rest of this series here against the Angels. Meanwhile, Houston, who you lamented we are now scoreboard watching, are here with a series against the A's. Two bad teams, bottom of the division, with opportunities here for both tied division leaders to gain a lead. However, following that, Seattle gets an opportunity against one of, if not the worst team in baseball. Meanwhile, Houston, luck of the draw. Unfortunately for them, they're taking on the Dodgers. You have an opportunity here. I mean, you had that head-to-head opportunity to get a series win, and you didn't. You squandered it. Too bad, so sad. Moving on. Well, here's still some opportunities moving forward. You need this series win over these next two series.
But at least you didn't get swept.
At least you didn't get swept.
All right, you got one of them things. And you're right. The Astros are taking on the explosive Dodgers. And you're hoping that the Dodgers do exactly what you expect them to do, which is just get her done. So there's opportunity. You hate rolling down the block and looking at someone else's yard, and trying to compare yours to theirs. But at this point of the season, in this situation, that's exactly what I'm doing. Rolling down the block, looking at the yard, being like, oh, they didn't edge that up. Cool. I ain't saying nothing. Keep doing what you do. You didn't edge it up. I ain't tripping. But, yeah, you're in a better position. Like you mentioned, you got the Angels for 2 more games, and you have the White Sox, the worst team in baseball. Man, I didn't realize how bad the White Sox were.
They're bad.
Until I started really looking them up. Luis Roberts, we're here for you. So it's that's what the rest of the year is going to look like, though, because I can't imagine that the Mariners just go on a crazy run. Maybe it could happen. I can't imagine it because we saw 14 games. I think we saw them do a couple years back. But you can't bank on that. What you can bank on or try to capitalize on is when you are playing weaker teams. The Mariners shouldn't judge anybody because you have your flaws as well. You got 53 or 53 and 49, which you're first in your division, and the guys that you are trying to outrun have something that you don't, and you have something that they don't.
Yep.
So it's all about just doing what you're best at and hoping that you can win those 3 to 4 games, 2 to 3 games. It's going to be stressful. It is what it is. And sprinkle in a couple 7-run, 8-run performances, and we shall see what happens because we're still waiting to see what the trade deadline looks like, who you pick up. But you're in the race, and I think that's all you can ask for.
I think sometimes you just need to stop the bleeding. And I know technically getting a win against Houston in that finale stopped a losing streak, but it still feels very much like we're in the doldrums. Like it still feels very much like we're at kind of this rock bottom of, yes, you're tied for first place, a great place to be, but you don't feel confident. You don't feel great. Oh, and you squandered a 10-game divisional lead in a record, MLB record 24 games. You will still face the Dodgers later. You're facing the Phillies in the beginning of August. Not easy series on your schedule, 2 very, very difficult ones. But for the time being, just for right now, you have a chance to stop the bleeding.
Yep.
Just for right now, you have a chance to get the tiniest bit of momentum. And I know not everyone believes in that, but Bump, I do. I mean, maybe it's easier as a fan than as a player to believe in it, but I do think there's something there.
No, I think players believe in it for
Right?
sure. I think they know. They look at the schedule and they realize who they're up against and who they're playing. They also realize these guys are professionals too, right? They're not some high school kid that you're just going to beat up on. Despite their record, despite who they are, what their lineups looks like, their average OPS and all that stuff, you still got to go out and play, but you know you have a better chance against these guys than you would against someone else. So, again, take advantage of the opportunity that you have in front of you, and it starts tonight, man. You got who's on the mound? You got Logan on the mound tonight? You got Logan on the mound tonight. Support the heck out of him. And to me, support the heck out of him means 3 to 4 runs is all I'm asking. I'm not going to go crazy and ask for 4 or 5. I'm after 3 or 4, not 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And hook him up because history tells you Logan is going to give you an opportunity to win. But the mental state of this team, it has to be at a low. And when you're at a low, when you've lost Julio, he's day to day. When JP is out, when Ty France is no longer with the squad. You have to find a way to get yourself motivated. They're naturally motivated because they're professional ball players, but they know they're down a couple guys, and it doesn't matter who you're playing. Find something in you to make you lock in and hit the pitches you are supposed to hit, because I have full faith that Logan's going to go out there and do his thing.
Yep. How close were you to saying no longer with us?
I was so close. Every time I say it, I have to lock it in.
I'll never forget when you said that about Puna Ford. Puna Ford died? No. He's just no longer with us.
It's no longer with us.
All right. That was our just very brief look ahead. It's a very simple point, which is, look, while you will be facing the Phillies and the Dodgers down the road in August, you have an opportunity here for a game against the White Sox while simultaneously Houston is facing the Dodgers. So there's just a tiny opportunity to stop the bleeding if you can take advantage of it. You are not guaranteed that you'll hang on to any kind of divisional lead. You clearly couldn't leading into that series against Houston, but sometimes momentum does something. So here's an opportunity to seize it over these next 5 games or so. Kind of wrapping up in the final couple minutes of the show, and specifically of the dugout here, Bump. Let's just talk about what stood out most to us from today's show. Lots of cool stuff from Scott, but what's sticking with me is that final point. I already mentioned it with you and Dave. I mentioned the bit about, players kind of being able to back themselves. So instead, I'll look at something else Dave said, which was take advantage of this pitching, that whenever they travel, whenever these broadcasters go to other media markets and go to other stadiums, other parks, they get people coming up, oh my God, your guys' rotation, it's unbelievable. And I think to Jeff Passan this morning telling Brock and Salk, when people think about the Mariners, they think bad offense. They don't think elite starters. And I think that's doing a disservice to where this club truly is, which is if you give it some help, and that could be something fun.
half empty, half full.
Right.
Like, how are you looking at this?
Yeah.
And if you are on the Seattle Mariners side, you have to. I beg you. I challenge you to see it as half full, because just like our guy Dave Sims said in colorful ways, they are still in this thing. They're still in it. They're still in it, and you have the best rotation in the game, one of the best rotation, if not the best rotation in the game. So there are going to be chances and opportunities. It's too early just to throw it all away and say it's a wrap, it's over, they can't do it. 60 games left, something like that? So like that. You got opportunities, man. So yeah. I'm operating half full for now.
I just don't want it to be lost on people. And I don't care if Logan goes out and gives up 6 earned runs. That doesn't change my mind about this. I don't want it to be lost on people how special your collection of starters is right now. And not only that you are not guaranteed that they are going to look exactly like this, perform exactly like this next year or the year after. God willing, you still have them as a whole group and everyone's healthy. But this is a real opportunity. And you have to think about the type of team that you are. Is this a team that's going to build up a monster the way the Dodgers have, the way that the Phillies look? I don't think so. This might be a team that has to take advantage, like Dave said, of a window and of an opportunity. You have one. Can you get to it?
Do me a favor.
Yes.
Let's talk about a win tomorrow, huh?
Oh, please.
Let's talk about a win tomorrow.
I beg of you.
Like, we need this. They need this. The Astros are going to lose, and your Mariners are going to win, and you're up a game, right?
I'm going to be so upset. So upset. I'm telling you what, I'm not even mentioning the Mariners. If they lose, I'm opening the show. We're out here at Seahawks training camp.
Thankfully, it's a short show, so we can dance around it if we need to.
Yeah, but no, it's, we joke about it and whatever. But I like talking about this team. I even like talking about them when they struggle because I find it interesting, though it is frustrating. But what makes you angry and what makes you frustrated is that there is a real opportunity. I can't imagine talking about the White Sox this year. How awful. There's no hope.
Yeah.
You're out. Talking about the Marlins. No hope. You're out. Talking about the Rockies, whatever. You're out. You're done. We're talking about a team that is in first place.
Yep. And who has some talent, right? There's something there. Cal, one of the best catchers in the game when it comes to hitting for power. Julio seems like before he got banged up, he was turning a corner. You got Robles, who in the month of July is going nuts right now. And your pitching has been consistent. You do have some obstacles you got to get over. JP's not there.
Yep.
The mood with Ty France being gone. What is Service how is he gonna motivate this team? So yeah, it doesn't feel good, but the situation when you look at it from 30,000 feet, you still got a chance here.
We started our show with a rant, so in the final 30 seconds, let's end our show with something positive and fun, even if we got to wish for it. So, just like we did last dugout, you need to call the Mariner who's getting the first, hopefully not only, home run today. Bump, we don't know exactly what this lineup is going to look like. No Julio, I'm guessing. But you are going to have maybe a Garver out there, Rayleigh out there, Rojas, a couple other guys.
It's the funky bunch. Come on.
The funky bunch. Who's getting your home run today?
Home run. I called the Julio
Curtis, I'm
one.
coming to you next.
Called the Julio. Today is going to be Rojas.
You did call Julio. Credit for that one. Okay, so let's see if Bump can be 2 for 2. Curtis, who are you calling for a Mariners home run today?
He's the hottest hitter on planet Earth, Victor Robles.
I knew you were going to say that the second you started doing it. Let's see. I am going to go with a surprise. No, I'll go with something class. I'll go with Rayleigh if he's in today's lineup. We'll see. If not Rayleigh, then I'll go with Garver. I'll go with one of your classic bigger bats. And
you can't pick 2.
Well, then I'll go with Rayleigh.
There you go.
All right, that'll do it for the Dugout. Wyman and Bob coming up next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
Gino, he's a guy that I think is probably the biggest question mark on this team for a lot of people nationally.
This guy's been through it, man. What a weird career Gino has had. You start off as a starter, and then all of a sudden you're in a backup situation. I think he was just kind of accepting his situation. Now you see how he is. He's very assertive, and like he wants to be somebody, and he's probably at that point, I'm just going to go out there and let it rip. I'm not playing with something to lose. I'm playing with something to gain.
Streaming on your smart speaker.
Hey, Bob Stelton here, and have you heard that metal roofs are all the rage? A metal roof lasts longer, it's more eco-friendly, and is a great option for adding solar panels. Asset Roofing is leading the local push in metal roofing, and they can even offer metal roofs for up to 30% less than their competitors. You're either hiring a liability or you're hiring an asset. Head to AssetRoofingCo.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing.
possibilities on the